shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt.
It's the FBI, motherfucker! Open up!
Catch. Oh shit. Later, Prince. No, I did not. No, I did not. Ew. Ew. Damn, dude. What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang, gang. Gang, gang. These nuts. Gang, gang.
Fat Jason Statham, no!
Sucks about a shotgun ammo, but there'll be more. No. Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
Oh yeah, that's funny. I think last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cyber like it. I was like, he's such a Chad. I love him so much. I'd let him date one of my sisters. And only Cyber. But he's taken, so he can't. Well, you know, after.
Kill Enrico?
Really?
Oh shit. Yeah. Like this. Rebecca!
Rebecca, no!
I'll show you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, what?
It was only 2 days from retirement.
He's coming out of the glory hole.
Get back in your glory hole, chicken.
The cock is going in the glory hole.
In Soviet Russia. Hey, Shotty. How you doing? We got Lemon. We coordinated it, so I'm getting rated as
He's coming out of some sort of
Lemon rated. Oh shit, that was loud. What? What? Did I just get raided? Thanks, Lemon. Here, let me go ahead and first. What up, Scott? How you doing? Let's see. We have no theme. Oh shit! You gave him a shout out.
As a prank.
There we go.
What the fuck was that?
Let me turn that off too. Oh, this is still running.
God, it scared the fuck out of me. That shout out, dude.
Let's get rid of that. How's everybody doing? And Brewster. Oh yeah, let me. Oh shit, let me go to Discord and actually call Lemon. My bad. My bad. My bad. Lemon.
Jesus Christ, bro, the grenade spam is fucking
Where that motherfucker
insane.
at?
You can't move 5 feet without.
There he is. Oh. Shout me out, all the people who wrote here watching me. Yeah. Oh, that was the last clip. Nice. That's a good clip. I like that clip, Scott. Also, I'm calling you on Discord, Lemon. You can hear me. Everybody that was just watching him, you're about to watch me. Or you're about to watch us. You guys hear that? Yeah, you can. Lemon. On? There he is.
What up?
Hey, babe. How you doing?
Good. I have to pee-pee.
Oh. Oh, I see how it is. No, no, yeah. If you need like time, like go ahead and grab a drink or something. Go poo poo pee pee.
I'm a pee-pee poo-poo, and I'll be back.
All right, I'll wait for you in hell. I'll see you in hell. Let me know when you're ready.
I'll see you in hell.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll be back.
Bitch. No. I'll start the game, but let's wait for my boy. Wait, who that is? Cyber! Dude, Adi's on it. Holy shit. How you doing, dude? Oh, so Scott. Yeah, we're gonna play. It's gonna be me, you, Cyber, and I think my boy Corey. We're gonna play Schedule 1 on Sunday. And you gotta be on your best behavior, okay? Waiting for a man to get off. Thanks for the shout out. I love Corey. Corey's so sweet, isn't he? All right, hold on. I have to make my "I'll see you in hell" bit work. See you in hell. I haven't been on my best behavior. No. Just because I know Cyber's gonna have the BBs with them. That's all. That's all I mean. No offense. Intended. Sorry. You know what's funny? When people say no offense, I immediately get kind of pissed off. You know what I mean? Like, no offense. I'm like... Yeah, I'm not gonna want to put up with the fourth kid, no offense. Oh, yeah, that was... Alright, that's not where I was going with it. That's funny. How dare you intend to not offend me? Oh yeah, you guys can probably hear the game audio, but... Oh yeah, you can hear that, can't you? Actually, I think the menu's quiet after that, so... How's everybody doing tonight? How you doing? I'm excited to play Schedule 1. Dude, you had me cracking up when I was watching you and Amanda play, and you had her fucking like naked while making the drugs. I was like, this guy. It was pretty good. How far did you get in the Schedule 1? I'm playing with her tomorrow. Nice. Dude, my weekend got packed out of nowhere. So tomorrow I have to visit my mom, who lives like half an hour away from me, which is already kind of like, you know, like I love you, mom, but and then I'm hanging out with her and her fiance, and then I think she's making menu though, which is nice. Not far. I haven't been on. Love her. So, and then what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and then I have to go to Bloody's birthday. Bloody's birthday is tomorrow. I'm not trying to give out sensitive info, but we're hanging out. Then Sunday is what are you doing Sunday? Oh, I have to work for one, and then I'm hanging out with Shoddy. We're watching White Lotus, and then I'm playing Schedule 1. And when I say stacked, I just mean like, because like when it's not that, I just lay down and like hang out and like watch a movie on my lonesome with my cat, partner in crime. I have a social weekend ahead of me. I have to prep. And if any of you guys are introverted, you understand. I feel like my day is stacked with Amanda. Yeah. No, I just mean like, I'm a very introverted person. Is White Lotus any good? I like it. I like it a lot. Sorry, Adi, but I didn't intend to fall in love. There's oh wait, I don't want to give spoilers. I can't give spoilers, but Paula, all you need to know, okay? Light in the dark. Oh wait, is that what you're talking about? I think he's talking about Paula and fuck, what's the daughter's name? Fucking Sydney Sweeney. That's funny. Is that what you meant? The light in the dark? Was that intentional? But yeah, sorry, Rooster. To answer your question, it's very good. I like it a lot. It's a damn good show in my opinion. Man, Vaughn's he really is pooping. I'm talking about the facing up and the facing down. The one facing up, the one facing down. Hey, what up, Boo? How you doing, man? Nice. No, it's a really good show. It's worth watching. I liked it a lot. Go fuck myself. No, wait.
I heard Sydney Sweeney. She has nice tits.
Fucking Vaughn. I almost called you Scott. No, because we're talking about White Lotus. I'm watching White Lotus with Audie, and there's a character in there who's friends with Sydney Sweeney. Her name's Paula. That one.
I don't know what that is. I just know Sydney Sweeney.
Just
and her tits.
That's funny. Wait, who? Oh, nice. Yeah, what up, Blue? How you doing? Chilling, bruh. Just chilling. Oh yeah, I'm about to chill with my boy. Lemon wedges.
On your chin.
Nice. You got me.
You swap my controllers.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for this shout to end, and I'll switch scenes, and then I'll send an invite. But I hope everybody's having a great night. Hi, Cyber. Hi, Audie. Auntie. Called you Auntie. All right, I'm switching scenes. Oh shit, I lost people. Get back here! Get the fuck back here! How dare you? Okay, alright, play game.
Come in. Like, oh, this fucking guy. You heard me come in. Like, oh, this fucking guy.
Well, I mean, half of them are your fucking viewers. Oh, good job today, dude. You had like 10 viewers. Yeah.
Did I really?
Yeah, dude. I looked.
No way.
You had, I'm not kidding. You had like at least 9. I swear I saw 10. Good shit.
Damn. It's probably like the entirety of the Car X viewership. That game has like 10 viewers at any given time, so everybody else quit.
Oh, I see.
Cool.
Well, I mean, strike when iron taught you, right? It's a pretty niche game, I'd say, because it's one of those like indie kind of like racing games, right?
It's very niche. What's fun is like, it's actually kind of less
Did you get the invite?
popular. What's weird is like it's one of those games where like the sequel kind of disappointed like the hardcore guys who like the previous game. But since like I didn't have any experience with the previous game, I really like it.
Hey, do you have chat up so you can at least talk along with them if they refer to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I see them.
Okay. What you drinking, Rooster? American Turkey Bourbon. Dude, I have not Woodford. What's the other one? Hold on. I have whiskey. It's by Wild Turkey. Oh god. No, I have something. Hang on. What do I have?
So yeah, I think it's like one of those games where like the most recent game like has like 10 viewers, but then like the previous game will have like I don't know,
I got Knob,
20, 50 something viewers.
I got Knob Creek. Wait, what'd you say? I'm back.
I was saying it's like one of those games where like the most recent game will have like 10 viewers max, but then the
Good.
previous game will
I was
like
sick of
have
this
like
place anyway.
50, 100, 1,000 something viewers.
Right. Oh wait, did we not kill all these guys?
we
Oh
not?
shit! There's
Well,
a
I
tank,
don't remember
dude.
this. What the fuck is this?
What the fuck?
Jumping into
We
this
just
shit.
fucking
Okay.
started, game. Chill.
Okay then. Holy fuck. I don't remember how to play.
Dude, you know what's funny? I feel like we both have to relearn this every fucking time.
Ow.
Oh, he's mutating.
Oh god.
Wait, there's a tank, dude. How do we kill the tank?
Fucking, I don't know. You're the Resident Evil master. You tell me.
I'm not the Resident Evil 6 master. This is for you people, you Call of Duty fans.
You people. What do you mean, you people?
Yeah, I said what I said.
Ow.
God damn it, now I'm out of stamina.
Don't touch me there. Don't touch me there. I didn't consent. Do I switch weapons again?
Shit, hold on. No, I did terrible and there's somebody behind me. But, what the?
Ow.
Oh boy.
I just got blown up.
Coming on you.
Don't come on me.
Coming on you.
Wait, I can, okay, I just got blown up again.
Never mind.
Okay then.
What do you mean, you people? And why do I feel like looting when I say you people? Because I'm talking about you fucking action nuts. Wait, what? Raid. Dead Wolf? Oh, shit.
Oh shit.
Oh, shit, Dead Wolf. How you doing, man? What up, dude? How you
I
doing?
was sick of this place anyway.
What's good, man? Thank you for the raid. Thank you so much. How was Repo? Ah,
good,
skeet,
sucker.
skeet.
Ah, skeet.
Oh, shit. Hey, Bon, don't get hit by the tank. Like I'm about to. Also,
okay.
if you look, there's a marker. We have to go to that door over there. See it upstairs?
Yeah.
That's where we're headed. I'm trying. Oh my god! Just got food. What food did you get, bro? I'm trying. Coming on you.
What is that?
Oh wait.
How'd you get up there? No. Wait.
This shit got crazy all of a sudden too.
He's like ran up the stairs? Okay.
Well, I tried, and then I think. Oh shit. Wait, how did we get over there? It's like blocked.
I think we probably have to beat the tank somehow.
How the fuck did we kill the tank? Nikki! What up, Nikki? How you doing?
I forget how to play this game.
Don't forget the quick shots and shit. Nice. Oh shit.
Reloading.
Nikki, we forgot how to play. What's good, Nikki? Rocket launcher. Alright, hold up. Because there's also doors. Yeah, what do we...
I'm jumping.
Wait, what?
Hey.
I can't jump. Fuck you,
Hey.
dude. No, I'm not. I don't have super.
You back to the game.
I'm just a girl. There's no
Joey's playing
problem.
his audio over here.
Did you? Vaughn,
I
how
literally
drunk
just
are you?
held A. I literally just held A and ran.
Dude, if you look at my stream, I'll even give myself some.
Can you actually not run across?
I cannot. I'm unable to can.
You're weak.
Pathetic. I mean,
Come on this side.
okay, okay. Coming on you,
Coming
coming on you. Okay, I got a little scared.
Hey, I heard that. Audie heard her catchphrase.
I'm just a girl. I think Angel says that a lot too. I mean, I already took period. I can take that excuse too, right? Alright, thank you. Vaughn, how drunk are you is what Scott's asking. It's okay, I never knew how to play. Good, I just pulled off 2 crazy saves in repo. Oh, hell yeah. What, oh shit. Oh my god, game.
Jesus Christ!
Oh fuck.
I don't have time to read chat.
God damn it, I was fucking drinking.
Why are you drinking in the middle of an action sequence? Men take
There's
everything.
a fucking cutscene! You know
Have you
you
not
can...
played Resident Evil 4?
You can
Remember
literally
when Resident Evil 4
roll
came
under
out? That was not. That was a thing.
That's
You're not
bullshit.
allowed to stop.
You cannot be run over by these vehicles. I've literally been under them.
You got hit by the
cannot be
track.
run
You
over
got hit by
them.
the what do you call it? It's not a track.
The
What is it?
treads? No,
Tread,
no,
tread.
I did not. I was literally in the middle of it. There's no way it could have possibly run me
bumped
over.
you. It bumped you, and then
That's bullshit.
it's cap.
Okay, well,
Bruh.
okay, fine.
Bruh.
Fine, just fucking stunlock me.
It's ours to begin with. You just borrowed it.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, when Adam gave you that rib. I'm just kidding. That's all I know about Adam and Eve, and like leaves and apples. And... All right, honestly, wait, also look at the see, that's funny. Joey gets it. Yeah, look at the barrel. You have to dodge. You have to go left and right. He's aiming at you now. Go left. See? Now we go right. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit!
Oh, fuck!
Okay. I love my favorite JK. Yeah, I'm not Christian, so Adam and Eve is. I don't want to get into it on stream, but
What was the joke?
so
Can I go back?
I
Fuck,
was.
I can't go back.
Wait, where are you?
Jake!
Well, no, I wanted to read the chat. So they.
Oh no, so it was
rip.
also verbal. They were responding to. So I said, you know how I stole period, which is like that calling when girls go period. I stole that on one of my Guardians of the Galaxy streams, and then I said I stole that, and then Audie was like shaking my head, meant take everything, and then Rooster was like, it was ours to begin with, you just borrowed it, and then I was like, yeah, I like that rib. Remember in Adam and Eve when we gave you the rib?
Yeah.
And then it was like, see, Joey gets it. That's where that came from. I was just goofing.
Yeah, I want to get 75% of the ribs that men get.
It's okay. I only get 3/5 of a rib.
That's a.
God damn
That's a
it! This
wages
tank is
joke.
still going.
Oh, loud! Where do I go? I ran left. Is that the right way?
I don't fucking know.
It doesn't look like it.
I mean, it's telling me to come up here.
That case is over by you.
Oh god.
I
No,
cannot
he's
fucking
mutating.
see with this camera.
Stop mutating. I'm
Ah, fuck.
hooked on a feeling. Ba-ba-da-ba. I'm believing. Ba-da-ba. I'm pulling the lever. What does this lever do? What does this button do? Oh, so you can do your fucking bullshit. Get up here. Get up here.
Ah, fuck. Oh, what's that? You need me?
Well, I don't need you. The game needs you to progress.
It sounds like you need me.
I don't fucking need you. I don't need anything. I don't need anybody.
Oh,
I
yeah,
ain't never
take it
scared.
across that gap.
So get outside
that gap.
and then you got to cross the gap. Yeah.
Can't see. Go ahead, get across the gap.
I can't. The game
Why
won't
not?
progress without you.
Oh, so you need me.
We need you to get your shit together and go. You like that? How'd I do? Do you like that? Did it work?
Sounds like you need me with extra steps.
No, sounds like the game won't progress until you get your shit together and do what you gotta do.
So you need me.
Technically, we need you. You need you to get yourself over there too if you want to win.
Now what do we do? I'm over here now.
I don't know. I'm like fighting for my life over here.
Why is my camera broken? Why can't I look around? What am I supposed to do here?
I don't know. Everybody's mutating around here.
I don't know
what does
what
your
I'm supposed to
objective
do.
say? Press L1. What is your L1
It's
or
pointing
R?
me like across the thing.
Then go.
What the fuck? Why is it pointing me over here?
I don't fucking know. I don't even know where over here is. I'm looking. I'm fighting
I think you need to
motherfuckers.
pull the lever again. You need to pull the lever again.
Really? I do? Okay. Okay. Maybe you're right. I'll go back to the lever. See if that's an option.
It's pointing me to a ledge where I can't jump.
Nope.
And
My
if
lever
you
is
pull the
down.
lever-
Maybe you can.
Oh, hang on. It's rotating. It's rotating.
What's going on?
But I still can't jump. I think you need to do. Did you do something? Because I think you need to do it again. It's rotating the statue.
Oh, I didn't do shit, dude. If the lever's rotating,
Okay, well-
no, because the lever's already down.
Okay, it's rotating automatically. Okay.
What's happening?
Here we go.
Okay.
I got it.
All right.
Okay, the man figured it out. I got it.
Shut the fuck up. Hold on. Yeah, on the motorcycle. Where's the motorcycle? Do you see a motorcycle? Hold on. Ah, fuck, I got monsters up the fucking wazoo right here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'm a girl, so hashtag me too. I'm sorry, I felt bad about that one. I'm sorry, everybody.
This fucking camera, holy shit.
This is too chaotic right now. Where do I go? Imagine having to type this clusterfuck out like a court document. That would suck. Well, that's why they would call order! Order! So it's just not gonna freaking keep up.
If I go this way...
I don't know what to do. Do I just survive while you do your thing?
Why am I still being shot? Yeah, apparently.
I have grenades. I do have grenades. Bitch!
Oh my god. Ah! Ah!
What you got going on over there? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Probably the same thing as you.
Except, like, am I waiting for you to do anything?
Yes, but I'm fighting enemies.
Fight better. I'm gonna be lurking for a bit. You guys have fun. Okay. Thank you for the lurk, Audie.
Oh, I found the case. Hang on.
Alright, guys, we just lost our best mod. I'm in mourning right now.
Oh shit. Don't die.
Working on it.
I found another case.
Hope
I'm
it's
finding
worth
all the
it.
skill points.
Yeah, I found
It is
some
worth
too.
it.
Nice.
Found a motorcycle.
Sick. Damn, okay, I'm out. Oh no! That's not what I meant. It's okay, I'm still here so we can have fun. Nice.
Motorcycle versus tank. Let's go.
Oh shit! It's time for this game to fucking... The Resident Evil 6 is Resident Evil 6ing so hard right now.
Yeah.
Oh, what up, Lena? How you doing? Sorry, I missed that. As you can imagine, I couldn't read chat and all that chaos, but what'd it do?
Oh, Lena.
Audie, my love. Earned a dog tag. Nice. Good shit. Lena, I have
50,000.
I have Injustice 2 on PlayStation 2. What do you have it on? Did I upgrade anything? No.
I can upgrade my crit hit.
Just cuddling up with my youngest after a very long day. I feel it. Are you a Wonder Woman main? I'm I guess Batman because I'm a basic bitch. But in Injustice 1, I was actually a Aquaman main and a Batgirl. Mine's an Xbox, LOL. Dang.
Oh, Von baby. Yeah, blowy kisses to you too, baby girl.
You know what? I'm gonna drink too. I'll be right back.
Do I shell out for the crit hit level 3, or do I save for the firearm?
I just save. I don't have enough to upgrade the ones I'm using because I have firearm level 2, I have critical hit level 2, and I have melee level 2. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna pour a little drinky drink. And I'm gonna pee while I'm up.
Why'd you pee before we started? I think I want crit hit level 3. So I feel like it doesn't really matter if my firearm damage is that high if I can't get crit hits, so. But the firearm level 3 is $75,000. I mean, it's really good, right? Still a little by my Pookie. I'm just gonna do the crit hit. I fucking hate it when my headshots don't kill. So.
You sure about that? You sure about that? That's why? You sure it wasn't because after the thing that happened to me, no one could look at me without dying laughing? You sure about that? You sure about that's not why?
Vaughn is my new baby daddy, and he still loves me. It's chill. So it's chill. Oh my god.
I have returned.
If the condom does not fit, you must acquit.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Did you quit the game?
No.
Do you need another invite?
No.
Okay. You redeemed Angry Ronald. I'm so loved by my Pookie. Stick with us, Joey. Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah. Here. Cheers, everybody. God damn it. I'm so loved by my Pookie. I see what you mean now. It's okay, Vaughn. It's my new baby daddy. And he still loves me, so chill. Cheers. Speaking of woo, that person I was telling you about is just absolutely amazing. Oh shit, you got a new person? Fist bump. Fist bump. Oh, you ready? Alright. I saw the countdown, my bad.
Always ready. I'm always ready.
I was born ready, motherfucker. Still gotta show Audie Blade.
Damn, she hasn't seen Blade yet?
No. Like, I want to show her at least one.
Yes.
For sure, 2
so
as well.
uncultured.
And then 3 if she wants to.
What
3's
rock
worth
has been
watching.
living
Like,
on Lottie,
3
Jesus.
3's dumb, but it's worth watching. First, hey, what up, Paul? How you doing, man?
He gave me the rendezvous coordinates.
Oh,
It's close.
Audie is like a caveman. She hasn't seen anything relevant since 2000.
Yeah, I think she watches like a lot of TV. It's just not like the dude bro stuff, you know? So she's catching up on Marvel, which I guess would include Blade, technically. Oh shit, I gotta shoot? Oh shit.
There you go.
Alright, drive as straight as you can. Oh boy!
Get those weak woman arms.
Switch sides with R? Oh. Hold on. Yeah, what does that do?
Just give him a second, he's literally just a girl.
Have your herpes, Paul? This is what Rooster asks. Nice. No thanks, I don't need any more herpes. I know, BB.
What the fuck is happening
You know
right
it,
now?
BB. I read that wrong. I don't know, man. I was along for the ride. It's like
Oh my god.
giving me a gun just so I can pretend I'm doing something.
The city's going to hell in a hand.
Right, where are your mercy here? Eliminate all enemies.
Oh, okay. Shoot. Shoot.
This game is fucking insane.
This is really starting
That's
to
the
hurt.
best Resident Evil game, 100%.
This is like 100% no exaggeration your favorite Resident Evil.
No.
What,
It's really good, though.
I think 4 Remake is your favorite, right?
I really liked Resident Evil 4 Remake.
4 Remake's
A lot.
awesome, dude. That game's like perfect.
I was actually thinking about rebuying it and playing on stream because
Dude, you should totally stream it.
I'm trying. I'm really trying to conjure up the guts to get back onto RE2 though.
Dude, just
Like,
fucking
God
do
damn,
it,
I
dude. And it's
fucking
like,
hate that game so
as
much.
far as the series goes, why do you hate it, dude? It's like the best
The fucking
one.
random bullet damage, god damn it, it's fucking bullshit.
Wait, the random what?
The random bullet damage.
Oh,
I
with enemies?
fucking hate it.
With the enemies?
Yes.
It's not random. It's not random damage with them. It's just like
It is fucking random. Headshots can do either no damage or max
there's
damage.
there's
It's like,
criticals.
it's undiceable.
It does consistent damage, or it'll do a critical.
It does not. It does not do
It
consistent damage
100%
at
does.
all.
And then
No,
the
it
weapon
does
you're using
not.
matters. The weapon
I
you're using
don't
matters.
believe you.
You don't have to believe me. I'm telling you the
don't
truth here.
believe you.
It's consistent.
You can take anywhere from 1 shot to fucking 10 shots to kill somebody with that shot.
Well, it's not on the gun side. It's on the zombie side. God damn it! What am I waiting for you? Okay, I was like, I thought I had to like do something.
I got you, baby girl.
Thanks, babe. Oh shit.
You okay?
I'm trying to read chat, guys, but it's just going on. This game is fucking crazy.
Shoot this man. They're throwing shit at us. Shoot it.
No, I can't shoot yet until they're behind me.
Really? Fuck.
Yeah, it's not like giving me an option. Is Vaughn live right now also? No, he should be, but he's not. Oh! Slide,
Okay.
you motherfucker! Oh, shoot the tank. Wait,
I
it
didn't
didn't.
know
It didn't.
what
It did not
happened.
give me an option to shoot. Is Vaughn live? No, Vaughn was live, and then he rated me, and now we're live. I wanted him to be streaming too, so we can test out the lab streams. You know? Oh, thank God for checkpoints.
AX? I don't know
Oh
why.
no, it's not.
AX is on
It's not letting me
fucking
shoot. It's not letting me shoot.
I have to slide.
So it was on you. Thank God.
It was on me, yeah. All on that one. Okay, this one's on you. Okay, so you can hit the broadside of a barn door. Good job.
I shot the little teeny tiny BB tank right there. Oh, there's more
You
behind
shoot
us.
the fucking 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in front of us?
I know I can shoot the 4, 5, 6 behind us now. I can't shoot in front of us, for the record.
That's fucking stupid. Oh my god.
The helicopter's back.
Damn it! I can clearly see Vaughn loves me more, so I was gonna harass him. LOL.
Dude, these fucking quick times
me
are coming
too.
out of fucking nowhere. I have literally 0 time to react to this shit.
I'm off for the whole weekend. LMAO. Oh, dude, nice. You guys finish RON with me. What's RON? Ready or not?
Ready or not?
Oh.
Yeah. I will, god damn it.
Is he giving you shit?
Yeah, he is. He won't fucking leave me alone.
The helicopter's back.
I'm waiting for the next sale. I would like to get that and play the VR. Oh shit. This game took a note from the fucking movies. The physics does not exist. This is like if Fast and Furious produced a Resident Evil.
Right? Well, I just spent like 3 hours racing. I should be really good at this.
Well, I don't know how to tell you this.
Fuck you, I'm doing fine. Fuck you.
You're doing alright.
He's still on us.
Real men don't have to break. I'm just kidding. Oh shit. Get the guy behind you.
Yeah, that sounds like something a woman would say. Bitch can't even fucking aim forward.
Well,
Only
motherfucker, you
shoot
can't drive
backwards.
straight. What the fuck do you expect me to do?
What? It's called turning, bitch. Just
Well, it's
fucking
called
keep
fucking
going.
trying to aim and the fucking zigzagging, okay? Not my fucking back.
They're fucking throwing Molotov cocktails at us. What do you want me to do?
My
Just
driver's
drive it?
fucking got fucking Parkinson's or something.
Oh, want me to just drive? Okay, fine. I'll drive straight. Fuck you. I'll drive straight. I'm just gonna drive straight so you can hit shit. So you can't fucking aim.
I mean, we're doing okay. We're doing fine. Bro,
I'm
they
fine.
oh shit.
I'm swerving too much. I'll just drive straight.
Well, that doesn't look like we have a choice.
Problems.
I'll just
happening?
let God take the wheel so you can
Jesus
aim.
Christ, man, no! I hate you so much right now. I hate you so fucking much. I'm gonna catch up on chat. I'd get you off
Did you want
for
me
the
to
whole
steer out of the
weekend.
direction of that fucking obstacle?
That's gonna happen next weekend. A Sawaddle appears. They released 2 DLCs before we even finished the campaign. Bond said he was gonna come rock my world, and I'm gonna let him at this point. Nice. Want a handshake, LMAO?
Here we go.
My dick wants a handshake.
Yeet. What the fuck? This game is crazy.
See, as a fucking need for a fucking
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious. I was thinking Need for Speed. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Not Fast and Furious.
I want to get back into racing games. I haven't really been like into them since like what? Fucking Need for Speed Rivals?
And there haven't been that many good ones lately.
Fucking Split Second.
Being perfectly honest.
Remember Split Second? I love that game.
I never played
Joey,
the full game.
I gotta tell you the
played
handshake
demo. It was
story.
pretty cool.
You're gonna die laughing. Vaughn, don't tempt me. I'm gonna come touch your dick. Damn, Lena.
Oh my god.
Oh, an emergency service worker. Hey, what's the story? I'll read as much as this game will let me. Oh, man, it's always the exhale.
Chris
Oh
is
fuck.
going to protect
I
us.
didn't know what shit was happening.
Don't need their help. I didn't ask for it either.
I know you don't like him, but if
I never asked for your help, kid.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Enough about Fred.
Hey,
I
now.
need your help.
You'll only slow me down.
They're dealing with. Trying to clue him in.
Ammo. Ammo.
Stamina. Stamina. I have to wait for it to cool down. I'm on my way. Oh, yours is down too, it seems. Have you seen my nurse's outfit? Oh, you have a nurse outfit? You're holding out on us, buddy. You should be streaming in that. You should be a nurse cosplay redeem. I'll DM it to you, LMAO. Yeah, that'll be nice. Just because this game won't let me read. Nice. I think I heard it. What did we do? It said eliminate all enemies. Does that include the fucking helicopter?
I think we just need to fight. It
Just-
seems
just-
like
just-
a flashback to when we were shooting at the helicopter as Chris and
Oh, that's right. This is exactly what's happening. Sorry, I had to borrow it, babes. You just keep doing what we're doing? Okay.
Ah, Jesus Christ. I'm about to die.
Yeah, you are.
I'm good now.
Yeah, you are. Wait, what?
No,
There's
fuck
a,
you,
oh,
I
the
was in
boxes
a
right
goddamn
here.
helicopter.
There's boxes over here.
Can I sit on here and not get shot at by the helicopter? Fuck.
Oh, there's stuff up there to shoot. What's happening?
He's the last one.
Oh, good shit, Jake. Let me get it after you. Gonna wear it for Vaughn.
I thought we'd be here all night. This way.
Okay.
When did I get this machine gun?
When is Troy Baker not gonna sound like just Troy Baker?
I'm calling this in.
I fucking love this movie. I was fucking dying the first time that scene happened, bro. I still think that is probably the most, no, not probably, that's objectively the most comic accurate fucking Punisher we've ever got. Wait,
100%.
wait, you said Rick Stevenson's your favorite Punisher, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he is.
I still think John Bernthal's mine, but fuck, I love Ray Stevenson. I just
Tom
miss that
Bernthald's
dude.
good. He's good.
Well, to me,
but-
he grounds it in a way, and he has like this like intensity, you know. But
Yeah.
fucking Ray Stevenson is just Punisher off the fucking pages into a screen, you know.
And he just looks like
He
Punisher.
does, with his slick back hair and his
Yeah.
outfit. I think you gotta do something. Oh yeah, you gotta kick this down for me. The ladder over here.
Just like a woman.
He was mine first. To are you guys fighting over Lemon? You guys can do better.
Everybody finds out about him.
Raise the goat. Rooster. Was that your first time watching? Because remember my Punisher, like, it was like a triple movie night, wasn't it? Was that your first time watching the Ray Stevenson one, or was that your first time watching? Oh yeah, I guess those are the only options, because we saw the '80s one, right? And then we saw Warzone, and then we saw the, well, not in that order, but we saw the Thomas Jane. Is that his name? Yeah. He's good too. But that movie is like,
good.
that movie's just like, it's kind of a Western. It's like a modernized Western in a weird way.
I really liked it.
No, it's
For those
good. It's
Western-
good.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Oh my god. I'm got my Magnum out. My Magnum dong.
Screw all this running. I'm taking that chopper out.
How? With what?
Not sure.
I'm reloading.
Kind of making this up as I go.
Haha.
God damn, you made me waste a goddamn shot.
Haha.
Not going too well for him, is it? Want to show him how it's done?
It's
Well,
It's Vonnie Pooh, by the way.
The Vonnie Pooh.
Lundgren. Okay. Lundgren was
Does
good.
not roll off the.
I actually like that one. Oh wait, Vaughn, when you sent me that one video, which I was already watching, because I think you sent me the Mr. Sunday movies, right? For
Probably?
Punisher
Oh, yeah,
80
the other
something.
guy who liked the
they liked
movie,
it,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, see, there's more of us, because I think you came in like halfway through, but you liked what you saw. I knew exactly what I was getting into, you know, with the 80s Punisher movie. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's goofy. It's cheap.
No, the videos of Warzone, and I was like, oh, see, we're not the only ones who like it. It's good. Oh shit.
I could have sworn you sent me the 80s one. Was it Warzone?
No, it's Warzone.
Oh. Tripping then.
Ah, fuck.
You good?
No,
Oh,
I have
okay.
like 3 fucking bosses on me.
Come up here.
God damn it.
I didn't know that was gonna happen. I'm sorry. Thank you. Shout out. I gotta take my fellow clips off. Better ones. What up, Crispy? How you doing, man?
What up,
How's your
Crispy?
Donkey Kong Country 2 speedrunning going? Do you hold any records? Because I was watching you play, I was like, oh, this guy's legit. I'm out of ammo. Wait.
Like now?
No, not ammo. I'm out of space. That's what I meant to say. Fuck. Let me get rid of this. No. Fuck. Here, do your thing. Just know that won't be. I don't have your back. Okay. I got your
I'm
back now.
just shooting guys that jump down this fuck. Oh, what the fuck?
Dude, okay. I hit a fat PB after you dipped. Peanut butter and jelly.
Smoked a fat dong. Smoked a big old pole.
The only PB I can think of is peanut butter. I'm sorry. I don't think that's what you meant, though. I fucking love peanut butter, dog. Personal best. Okay. Also, just so you know, I fucking hate like little acronyms, because I never know. People would be like, "Oh, dude, I'm on my RA and the fucking the PP and the fucking the
Doesn't
2T
understand lead speak.
the T29." Well, half the time it doesn't save syllables. So just say it. All good, I got you. Okay, yeah. You're doing great, honey. Thank you. Also, as you can tell, I'm fighting for my fucking life right now. This game doesn't let you chill. This game has no downtime.
I don't know where this goes.
This game is move, the video game. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know where this goes. It's taking me up here for some reason.
Where are you going?
I'm going up these ladders.
Go down the path I can't follow.
You're strong, independent. You'll be all right.
That's fair. I'm gonna channel my big clit energy, okay? I'm on my big clit era.
Big clit arc.
The arc.
Okay, well, I just dropped back down, back to you. Okay.
What's our objective? Hold on. It's telling me to, I think we have to keep killing stuff. There's
Yeah,
somebody over
I
there.
think
There's a guy over there with a mark on him. Can you get to him by any chance?
Not from down here.
That BCE? That before common era? What are you talking about, Scott? Big clit energy. Oh, god damn it, Joey. I literally just said it.
Stupid.
No, I look at a lot of like stuff. They call it before common era. Cause yeah, they tried to fucking, I guess, uncancel BC or something.
Oh yeah.
Like, before who? What if you're not a fucking Christian? It's like, it's still before Christ. I don't know.
I'm going up. Oh, fine. Oh,
You do. Yeah, I caught on. Hold on. That did. God damn, I can't reach whoever's up here. You guys just shoot the helicopter? I don't fucking know.
can't grab
Also,
that shit.
hang on a
Doesn't do that.
second. Let me drop. Fuck. I guess I'll drop the hand. No, not the handgun ammo.
I think we have to shoot the helicopter somehow.
We do, but don't do it yet because there's a green herb here I need to pick up so I can. Fuck. Drop this, I guess.
You gotta fix my fucking inventory.
All right, you're good. Yeah, do it now if you have time.
I don't remember how.
Oh. Well, it's triangle or Y if you're an Xbox user.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that helped. Yeah, it helped. Tell everyone to check his DMs, LMAO. Lena says to check your DMs.
Right now?
No, not right now. Not right now. I'm saying not right now. We're doing shit. Nice, we just had to shoot
shit.
it.
Okay, well, something changed.
Oh, sorry. Next time. Are you more drunk than I am?
Nudes or something.
No, I'm actually I'm just now drinking.
Come on, let's go.
So I wouldn't say I'm drunker than you. I would just say I'm dumb.
No, Wesker was my father.
Not right
I
now.
don't think so. Why?
Okay, so not now, Vaughn.
You're just rubbed in the wrong way.
These are the biggest
No,
subtitles I've ever fucking seen. These are almost as bad as the fucking, like, you know, you've seen all the Fast and Furious movies, right? I was not connected.
No, I haven't seen all.
Hold
I
on.
think I've seen up to 6.
Hold on, it says my controller's not connected. 1 second. I think the game's bugging on me. Happening? Hold on. Sorry, everyone. This is the game. Is it working now? Hold on. What the fuck is happening?
I don't think he wants to open his DMs while everyone can hear him.
My,
Yeah, they'll start coming immediately.
Right? Sounds like you should check them. My controller's not working right now. Check a different port. What do you want from me, game?
Did you try plugging in the power cable?
Well, it's plugged in directly to USB, which charges.
Did you try plugging the power cable for your computer?
Want to fucking play with my fucking mouse and keyboard?
Don't you fucking cheat.
Well, it's not cheating if it won't let me. I don't have a choice. And here's the thing: I don't know the controls, so.
Cheating.
Like, what's quick shot? Hold on, actually, let me check.
I got a quick shot for you.
Shut the fuck. Nice. It's not working. Where are the controls? Hold on. Sorry, dude. I didn't expect this to happen.
Just like a woman. Can't figure out fucking basic technology.
And slap you. All right, ready? Action space.
So everybody tunes
WSD.
in for the
R is
misogynistic heel.
R is reload. Item slot is E. Item is E. Health tab is 1.
This is why I can't stream while you're streaming.
Hate you so much. I love you, but sometimes I want to kick your fucking ass. I want to drop kick you. I'm gonna fucking give you the rocks, the people's elbow right in your fucking throat. Vaughn gonna give you back shots, Joey. Well, no, I'm gonna give Vaughn back shots. Get it right.
You don't have a penis.
I happen to have it on high authority that I happen to have a penis.
Oh, you're trans?
What is a trans?
You're one of those,
I don't want to do this.
MTFs?
What is that?
Nothing.
Did you even see the kind of helicopter they
But
sent after us?
yeah, my accuracy is about to skyrocket because my controller's not working. Sorry.
Man, terrorists.
Because he's cheating.
What do you mean
They have an
cheating?
oil baron or
Is it
something
cheating
that
if I have no choice?
Oil barons. Huh? You know, the
Yep.
country I was born in, people think Uncle Sam causes most of the problems in this world.
You're just jealous that you're not playing with mouse and keyboard. No, everybody on stream, they probably saw. I was like, connect your controller. And I was like, bitch, my controller's connected. What do you want? I'll try it again. Hold on. Or, get this. I could quit.
Oh, I found a case.
Hold on, I'll be right there. I'm wondering what the fuck's going on with my controller. Will my Switch controller work? Because I'll use you. No. Dang, I was actually looking forward to that. Dude, the Switch controller is so fucking comfortable. Try this again. Dude, yeah, my controller's not. It's not working. No, I'm using my Stadia, but it's not working right now. Like, once we got to this new area, it was like, please connect your controller. And I was like, bitch, it's been connected. What are you talking about?
Oh, very convenient. Your controller always worked till just now. Very
In the
convenient.
entire time we played, whenever I play with my mouse and keyboard, I've been playing with my fucking controller this entire fucking time. You think just now you think now I'm gonna decide to fucking just switch to fucking mouse and keyboard?
Because I've been getting better scores than you. All of a sudden, your controller breaks.
It's been fairly 50-50.
No, I think I've been better than you every time.
And it's been 50-50. I don't give a shit about the scores. Now, Keith.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna get off for the night. I'm gonna pick up my new car in the morning, and I have a long day planned after that. Much love, Joey. Peace out, Lena. Hope you have a great night.
Right.
Mwah.
Night, Lena. You have a good night.
This is how me and Vaughn sound. Is this how me? No, you guys sound more toxic than this. We're still somewhat civil here. You and Scott, or I mean, I'm sorry, you and Vaughn sound like fucking hateful at times. I'm like, god damn. Like the one that got me, it was specifically when you guys were playing
You played
Space Marine, and he's like, I think you guys are both drunk, but he was like, it's because I fucking hate you, Scott. What part of that do you not fucking understand? I'm sitting here, I'm like, god damn, bro. Good night, Lena.
I fucking hate you.
No, you didn't say it like that. You kind of mumbled it out, but I was like, oh my god, it sounds.
As long as there's no.
You made it real. You're like, because I fucking hate you, Scott. What part of that do you not understand? It was the second part that got me. I was like, oof.
Oh my god.
I'm like, god damn, in the background over here.
Man, everywhere you look, there's more of these assholes. Keep so popular.
So I'm getting used to this. I'm not used to this. Oh boy.
Oh. Ah, fucker.
Gotti. Gotti! How do I run? Space? Whack. Space to run? Fucking... Like a full-on couple that's been married 30 years. Yeah, that's how you guys sound, exactly. I don't believe you. Me and Vaughn argue way more than this. No, you guys argue... No, that's my point. You guys argue more and worse than this. Me and Vaughn, we just give each other shit. You guys fucking punch. You guys go for the fucking... You guys go for... Yeah, you guys are fucking... Going for
If we're in
fucking
the same room, we'd
points.
both be dead.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Vaughn, we're just goofing. You and Vaughn. That's the whole story. We argue like bros. You guys argue like fucking a couple. Like you're fucking. No, we do just goof. No, I know you do. It's different. It's different flavors of goof.
Ow. Little fucker.
Fuck, I'm on ammo already?
What's this guy doing? What's this guy doing?
No, just more often than not, it gets spicy goof. Spicy goof sounds about right. We're still goofing, but I'm like, ooh.
God, like, no, the fucking camera in this game is ridiculous.
It's
like
fucking
so
nuts,
fucking
man.
close.
I'm really disappointed I have to play with mouse and keyboard right now. Joey's too nice to keep up with the spicy goof. I mean, you should hear the stuff when, like I say, when I'm not on stream or at work. God knows. I could be gross.
Where's this trying to tell us to go?
It's good over here. I only left because I saw pickups. Wait. Space. Wait, what? This is a good way to put it. Joe. It's not a good way to put it. Vaughn knows. Scott, you never see me or played with me not streaming. Vaughn's lived with me.
Yeah,
what's wrong
Joey
with mouse and
drops
keyboard?
almost as many slurs as I do.
Pretty much. Do you have a prompt? What the fuck? I think it bugged out, dude. Should we reload checkpoint, maybe? It's telling us to go that way. Do you see it, right?
I see it's pointing up.
No, it's like there's a object. Like, watch, look at my stream. It's telling me to go over here. And I do it, but there's no prompt to do anything.
It's not showing that for me. It's showing me like it's pointing up for me.
I'm gonna restart.
I found the ladder. Hang on. Hang on. I found the ladder.
Oh shit!
I have a ladder.
We found a ladder. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Don't answer that because you've seen me play. It takes two mouse and keyboard.
Hang on.
Joey goes to work dressed like Clayton Brisbane.
The man's got this. Hang on. Okay, go back down.
Coming.
Don't worry.
Hurry up!
Don't worry. Next flight chromosome has this under control. Just push it open slowly. Ow! How did that hit me?
Oh, it's still alive or is he dying? Okay. Why you always dying? Oh my god. Stop fucking dying. Control mouse and keyboard. Nice. That's a rough example to show. Yeah, honestly, Audie, I really do think you're at a disadvantage playing that game with a mouse and keyboard. That is a game that is, I guarantee you, is made for fucking controllers.
Oh, there's specific games that made for
platformers.
specific inputs?
Yeah, but it's a first-person shooter. You almost have advantage of mouse and keyboard, no?
Not in every case.
I think in most cases.
First-person shooters are made for controller.
I'd say almost every case. Also, it was Jay. It was Jay that you were fighting with. I didn't care. Okay. I have to make sure I'm not catching strays for somebody else.
So you're made for certain inputs? That's crazy. I think I said something like that before.
Bitch.
I feel like this crit chance is serving me well. Level 3 crit chance.
Damn it, he's evolving. He's digivolving into something else. Come on, Magnum.
Is he?
I think? Yeah, but he caught fire and turned into a cocoon. That's usually like a sign where he's like, he's gestating. He's mutating. Along with the Nemesis program.
He's mutating.
Vaughn, do you like any of those live action Resident Evil movies? I like most of them.
I mean, there's a lot to choose from.
Do you like any of them?
I mean, yeah, I like the ones with the fucking white eyes bitch.
Who?
White eyes chick?
White
Who's the one with
eyes
the white
chick?
eyes? White eyes. The one with the eyes are really far set.
Mila Jovovich?
Yeah, that's her.
I never noticed her eyes were far apart. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
White eyes. It's just, it's so specific. Does Vaughn like the Netflix, the live action Resident Evil show? God damn it. Does Vaughn like the live action Resident Evil hit show on Netflix?
I never watched it.
Vaughn, do you want to hate watch Resident Evil on Netflix with me?
I like how mad it makes Joey.
It pissed me off, dude. So that's the thing.
I love it so much.
Do you want to tell the story? You can tell the story if you want, or like why you like it? Because I know.
I love it. I love it because I used to talk mad shit about like the sequel Star Wars movies, and Joey would always like make fun of me for it. Like he just didn't get it. But now he gets it. Now he gets it since he saw the Netflix fucking.
It's like, because like guys, you understand. If you guys don't know, when like the night it came out, I fucking binged as much as I could, as fast as I could.
So
and I was so excited for this fucking show, and I popped the fuck off on like Facebook, and Vaughn saw it and he was like, got him. Because like because you guys know, like I'm very forgiving in a sense. Also, like I've said before, it's like it's not even about necessarily being forgiving. It's like it doesn't take much to keep me entertained, you know. But if it's a property I fucking love, like Resident Evil, and you do that with it, I couldn't help but just fucking offload my anger.
Yes.
Let your hate flow through you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now he knows how it feels to be a Star Wars fan. Nobody hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
Too bad the fall didn't knock the wise ass out of you.
Fun. Do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Resident Evil with me on Netflix? The hit Netflix show.
Not really.
How do I crouch? Is it C? No.
I don't think you can crouch this game.
You can. Oh, it's space bar. Okay, it's space.
Oh wow, there's a lot of enemies down here.
I know. I think I'm trying to save you. God damn it. Ah shit, I found a pink controller. Wait, for what?
Oh fuck. How'd that hit me?
Coming, Vaughn. Coming at you, coming on you.
It's open front.
Want me?
You're coming at me.
Finally did something right. What's this? Oh, it's just vault. Oh, open boxes. Hang on.
Little boxes, little boxes.
I can only carry 8 shells. Oh, so you just survive. I'm managing my.
If you found 100 Jabo, nice.
Let's see, I don't need
Where are
5
you?
of my bones. I'm managing my inventory.
Well,
I need these.
I need a player too.
I need these shotgun shells. Hang on.
Wait, how do I leave? Oh fuck, I'm stuck. Stop, bro,
Get
I'm
rid of
stuck.
these.
Okay, spacebar works. Okay.
I like where these fucking grenades.
Fuck you and your grenades.
I'm trying.
Jesus Christ, Vaughn, get over here.
I don't know how to do it. Trash. Yes.
If I die, we die. Just so you know.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. Give me a second.
You can't do this later.
I literally cannot. Hang on. I'm figuring it out. I'm learning how to play the game.
It's okay. Don't worry. I got it. No, it's okay. I'm a big, strong, independent woman. I don't need no man.
Oh, that's what I thought. Good job. Okay, I figured it out. More or less. Oh, hang on. I found more boxes. Okay.
Where?
Okay. Oh, you got it? Okay, you got it.
I mean, I'm almost dead, but I got it. Oh, I gotta help you up here, I think, is what, yeah.
Door is over here somewhere.
But there's a prompt to go over here. Yeah, I think that's where we gotta go. This might be extra. I don't know. I just saw the prompt. Oh, that's where I came from. God damn it. Sorry. I think that's where I came from. I think I popped off on this side, actually.
Over there somehow.
8-bit do their very key controllers. I have an adapter somewhere that lets me use that for other consoles. Like if I have like a PlayStation controller, I can use it on my Xbox kind of thing.
Isn't this the way we went originally? Oh, I see a blue symbol.
Those boxes.
There
Wait,
you
what are you
go.
gonna use a controller for? For a console? Well, I mean, for your PC? Because you don't have any consoles, right? Also, Vaughn, I have to pee. I'll be right back.
Oh my god, already? I thought you just went.
It goes right through me, man. I don't know. Is this good or bad? Is that good or bad? You do the research while I'm out. I'll be right back.
This fucking guy can't hold his fucking liquor. I have pancreatic cancer or something.
This is now going to be in my head for the rest of the day. The rest of the day.
Now from the top, make it drop. That's a wet and gushy. Now get a bucket and a mop. That's a wet and gushy. I'm talking.
Okay, that's enough of that.
What does this one do?
I have returned. Don't be mad. I'm upset. I want to use my controller.
I'm upset. Louder!
Did you time that?
I'm upset.
Come on, you're like, he's gonna come
upset.
back and be like, "Don't be upset," and I'm gonna be like, "I'm upset."
I was just pressing shit.
It worked. It was perfect timing. I came back. I was like, "Don't be upset," and that immediately triggered. I was like, "Was you waiting?" But like, yeah, goddamn, dude. I want to use my mouse. I want to use my mouse and keyboard. Is what I'm trying to say. But I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm so
who's saying that shit?
blind.
Is that? Who's saying that shit?
Corn, dude.
That corn? I was gonna say, is that corn?
Twist, twist.
I love how perfect you do that shit.
Oh, no, the one I like doing is the. Some fight something.
No. Wait.
Oh, wait, they were chainsaws.
Hey, it does. Good job. I like how you just said don't get too close, and then you immediately go.
No,
got chainsaw.
I'm not used to these controls, bro.
Wow.
All right, if you want, can I restart the game and then play with controller again?
Yeah, give it a try.
All right, I'm gonna give it a try.
Yes, it's happening with Joey.
No, dude, I don't know the fucking controls for mouse and keyboard. I was playing controller.
Joey.
Fucking hate you both right now. I'm gonna quit right now. Hold on. I'm gonna quit and I'll restart it. We're rebooting, everybody. We're rebooting.
So hungry.
I'm actually hungry too. I was gonna wait.
Want each other's dicks? 169?
don't think it's filling enough. I need real meat.
Wow. Wow. Talk about that. Oh, he's sticking dick.
Oh, dude, that was like one of the best. Like Ninja Turtles, that was like the best. All right, I'm gonna restart it right now. He said, this person told everyone in the city, my nigga. it was awesome. Hey, stop disrespecting women. If you guys don't know, watch Nigga Turtles on YouTube, okay? That's your homework. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And my controller's still not working. What the fuck's happening? All right, sorry, dude.
All right, updating your drivers.
Have you tried sucking my dick? Joey, all right. They're on me. They turned on me. Are you happy? That's what you wanted.
No.
Wait. All right, sorry. I'll re-invite you, and we're still stuck in the same fucking problem. I tried this too big. Updates. Okay. Oh, stop it. Escape. Go back. All right, play game. Campaign. Continue. Okie doke. Creating game sesh. And invite when. Alright, sorry, dude. I'm not happy about this either. Well, I am!
Yes.
You think I want to play with mouse and keyboard? No. I'm a controller. I'm a controller, bitch. Commit seppuku? No. Why don't you have a fit check redeem? I don't know. Joey, can we get a yeah, I'll add one for you guys.
Oh,
wait, no, it sent this all the way back here?
How far back is this?
This is like the beginning of this area. We didn't get a checkpoint? Yeah, we need a fit check redeem. Noted. I'll do it next time.
Hey.
A little bit, but the people get what the people want.
Sucks being so popular.
There's no
Fuck, I have to, there's a, oh.
Why are you dying?
Because I don't know the controls. I'm trying to... Like I said, I don't want to play with mouse and keyboard. I don't know. I've been playing with keyboard the whole time. I mean, control the whole time. This is new.
Women.
The worst. All right, hold on a second. E is for inventory, and then how do I move over? Is it? How do I tap over? Fuck, dude. One is weapon. No, I don't need weapons. I need to. Is it space? No. Fuck. I just wasted herbs. I don't know how to cycle through here. Do you know how? WD doesn't work. Left to right doesn't work. I get to click. Okay, it's noted. I know now.
Well,
I mainly do mouse and keyboard for everything, but it'd be nice to have something on hand for controller. Well, the thing is, guys, if you guys don't know it, if you guys didn't know, I was using controller until it was like, reconnect your controller. And I was like, I tried to unplug in, I tried replugging, I had to restart the goddamn game. It's just not working right now. So I have to force, on the fly, learn how to use mouse and keyboard in this game. Controller is better. In this game, I would say yes, controller is better.
in lots of games. Games like Halo.
I agree to disagree. Now, you know what's funny? I was doing better with controller than Halo.
Yeah, you were. I noticed.
Like, I was watching.
I saw you try to play with mouse keyboard.
It's like you'd think you'd have an advantage. I'm about to bust that back. Keep talking up. Where's my player 2?
Why are you dead?
Because I'm soloing.
Why can't I pick you up?
Well, I wasn't down.
Yeah.
So I was taking cover. Shoot, nigga. It's gonna mutate, I think. Also, these controls suck with mouse and keyboard. They don't make sense. Who sprints with space bar, dude? Like, see what this is shit I have to deal with right now.
Ooh, I see an item.
Look out, black man. Look out, black man. He's got a gun. What up, Cash Cow? How you doing, man? I'm playing with mouse and keyboard and it's fucking me up. My controller stopped working and it pissed me off.
Can I go up here?
I'm upset. Oh, there's boxes right here, dude.
I'll come back for him.
You unlock that for me or do I unlock that for you? You unlock that for me, right? Oh shit. Oh shit, he's mutating. I'm using controller until I die. You can't stop me. I don't want to stop you. We're same but different. Like for the most part, I'm a controller guy still. And if I start a game on PC, I can play, you know, mouse and keyboard, but like I've played the last like 3 campaigns of this with the controller and now I'm like fucking up because I don't know these dumbass inputs. Like the game wants to be a sprint with space. Who does that? Just got home from the girlfriend's house. Nice. 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 Good shit, dude. Did you score? We made dinner, matzo ball soup. Yeah, that picture you sent looked amazing. Looked pretty good. I was like, oh, it's chicken soup. And I saw
matzo ball soup.
Then I saw the matzo ball. Matzo ball. Matzo.
Lots of ball soup, got
Matzo.
Lots of ball soup.
Okay. Jupiter was over and he's getting acclimated. Hope that went well. I'm like rooting for Junie the entire time, you know?
Oh.
Oh boy. Spacebar to run, Sherry. Spacebar to run. Reload.
Whoa.
It's gonna mutate. I'm scared. He did really well today. That's awesome. I try my best to keep up with chat, but this game won't let me. This game is fucking kind of intense. Alright.
Oh, there's more? Okay.
Oh, is there more? Where? Oh shit. Coming on you, coming on you.
Oh, come on, man.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, I do.
This music reminds me of the music from Jason X. You ever watch that one? It's Jason.
I watched the kill count. Does that count?
Spit! That doesn't fucking count, you bitch. You and I hate kill count so fucking much. Oh, we gotta go this way. Oh, I think we're further than we were. Double tap, motherfucker. Move!
Yeah, this box.
Oh. E. Space? Okay, space. E. Cash Cow, you excited for me to play your Dreamcast games? There's boxes you just ran past.
Oh, shit. Oh, on a case.
Finish the race, of course. It's cool. I can hear you open something. You open the case? I did. Nice. I'll probably start with the NFL one, Ryan. That's what I'm thinking. Because I know football. Funny enough, I know football more than hockey and basketball, even though I don't play any of them or like any of them, really. So yeah, Vaughn, Ryan gave me a bunch of Dreamcast games on the condition that I stream them. So get ready for some sports Dreamcast streams. There's also a shotgun up here. I don't know if it works for you too. I picked one up. Is it there for you too?
I already have one.
Okay.
I picked it up before you quit. So, and it stayed in.
Shit. I want to see you play a season in NFL 2K. That's the one I'm probably going to start with. How long do you think a season lasts? Is that like a whole stream or is that like a few streams? Do you know? Like how many hours roughly? Like how long will that?
Shit, you fell.
You don't say.
I was just like hiding in a locker and I just watch you.
You were in a locker when that happened?
Yeah, I was just hiding in there.
Nice. Oh shit! Oh shit!
Oh, damn, calm down.
Depends how long you say. Okay, I don't know. Whatever standard is, I'll do that. These controls suck.
Who the fuck is shooting?
He's up there. You gotta throw me up here. I think it'll work. I'll get him. I'll get him, boss.
I got him.
It'll be a few streams. Okay, because I stream on average 3 to maybe 4. If it's like a cool day, 5 hours. I'll look it up. Howdy everyone. Hey, what up, Hunter? Dude, Hunter, what's up, Dan? I haven't seen you in a minute. How you been, man?
What are you doing?
I'm waiting on you. Press V over here, or press B.
For what?
Throw me up here. I'm waiting on you. This is a player 2 action. Yeah, what up, Hunter? How you doing, dude?
Why?
So I can finish the race, of course.
The fucking objective is down here.
I don't fucking know. Are we some dope shit over here, bro? Ah, shit. Oh, shit.
Oh.
Maybe. I mean, I did get some cool ammo.
This one's bolted shut too.
Another one? All
Another
here we
one.
Go again.
Here we go. Wait. Am I supposed to go up here? This is where I came from, isn't it?
I think there's an alternate route to like fight guys. I don't think you have to go up there.
I don't know. But I guess we can head to where I was going, I suppose, right?
Oh, I forgot we could switch shoulders. I'm stupid.
Me neither. Oh wait, Shoddy, I'm gonna be lurking a bit. Not really feeling tonight. Oh, I'm sorry. You okay? You're feeling alright. Me neither, Audie. I hope you guys both feel okay. You guys get both. You guys both get forehead kisses, and best wishes.
Drink water, trainee.
What's your PT score?
Do you want to be here?
Wait, is it somebody to go up there? Coming.
No, you dummy. It's time to go over here by this door.
I'm coming!
standing next to.
You mean this door that's bolted shut that we can't open?
Well, why does it have a fucking marker on it?
Because you're a dummy. It's above it.
It's not above it. It's right next to it.
The marker's above it.
No, it's not.
Look at my stream.
If I was streaming, if I was streaming, you would see it's right on.
Look at my stream. If I am streaming.
I don't want to watch the stream. Okay, I'm gonna close it.
I hate you. How do we get up there though?
I fucking already threw you up to the fucking rafters.
Well, on the other side.
Oh my god.
Dude, okay, you got any more bright ideas?
I'm about to throw these nuts up on your chin. That's
nice. Because I was on one side. We gotta go over here somehow. But how do we do that? If you see a problem, let me know. But I don't. So
yeah, I see a prompt right in front of this fucking door that we're just looking at. That's where I see the prompt.
This one right here. I didn't get one. What happens when you press it?
And I just see the marker saying to go through here. But yeah, I'm not getting like that press A or.
Yeah. So shut up. Because it's not where we gotta go.
So much.
Were you yelling at me? And I was like, dude, I can't go through there. And you're like, well, I can't either. I was like, what the fuck do you want from me, bitch? I'm telling you what Sherry said. She says, another one's bolted shut. And I told you. And you're like, well, it's over here. If you're looking at my stream, it's fucking... Like, well, I am streaming, motherfucker, and it's above it. So get over here. You need my help now.
See what I'm with? I'm gonna go play Scott.
That is your favorite one. Well, you know where to go.
This is my favorite one.
What's up?
Just when I'm playing with you. That's the problem.
I wouldn't have the problem if I was playing with Scott. Where's Scott? Is he still here?
He's probably asleep by now. I think it's like 4 a.m. where he's at.
Gross. Coming. Unlocking the door.
How the fuck did he hit me? Boxes.
I'll be right there.
Oh, it's looking good in there for me.
There's a target. Nope, 1 a.m., 12 a.m. here. It is 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. for us. 10 p.m. for me. That's crazy. We're all over the place, aren't we? Oh, is there more? Oh.
No.
I hear squealing.
Climb ladders.
Need boxes? Yes. Reload while I'm here.
Bitch. I'm gonna flex on you. Don't make me flex on you.
Hold on. Hold on. R's combined. And then that. Christ. He's fucking flying over the place. I'm just trying to figure out how to fucking do this ammo shit. Alright, you ready? This really is, there is learning curve now. So just so you know, like, just forgive me. I don't know the controls for this.
Okay, so
really hungry?
don't
'Cause I'm
walk
hungry too.
immediately into him. Because he has a chainsaw.
Oh, I didn't realize that at first.
Yeah.
Trapped.
I figure that's probably why you died the first time.
No, he got me for sure.
Yeah, thanks. I know what a chainsaw can do.
Oh.
Where is he?
Okay. Man, I really wish I had those flash grenades I threw away now.
I wish I had a fucking player 2 over here.
That'll be alright. I put that on a remote bomb. Beat his ass. Beat his ass! Beat his ass!
He's all yours.
Really?
Beat his ass!
Shit. Wait, we did it.
That was easy.
That was great.
That was easy.
I mean, I opened up my Magnum. I was like, fuck you. And I just fucking... Oh, shit. Oh, there's points here. There's skill points here. We dropped a lot. Hopefully we get to pick them up, because I don't think I did. Good night. Doing a sunrise hike in the morning. All right, peace out, dude.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be there.
I'm fulfilling all the social obligations tomorrow. I'm proud of you.
know that. I hope
I'm proud of you.
Proud.
Love you, dude. What's beeping?
Night, night. My remote bomb I put down.
Oh, good night, Ryan. Love you. Mwah, hawk to a. Spin on that thing. Is it this way? It is this way.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I just saw you fucking judo through me for a second there.
It's American.
American, nice.
Fucking show that
See,
bitch.
how do you switch shoulders now? Like all my cooking controls are wrong now. Fuck. Well, I'm gonna look real
That's
quick.
a lot of boxes. There's definitely a boss on the other side of this door.
I know, and I don't know how to fucking do anything. Game settings. Key bindings. What is switch shoulders? Roll left. I got that. Crouch. Oh, 2 is crouch. There is a crouch, bitch. Which hand is caps lock? They throw caps lock up with this motherfucker? Wait, what up, Jay? How you doing, man? We want Donkey Kong. Well, this is a co-op Resident Evil night. What up, Jay? How you doing, man? Here, dude, it's caps lock for me, and I can't fucking spam it like you can. I miss controllers so bad.
This is my when I'm like, unarmed. I'm like doing like a little shuffle.
It's so dumb, dude. Why can't they? Why wouldn't it let me use my control?
You fucking suck, dude.
You fucking suck, dude. No, I know control's better. I want to play with control right now. Thank you for the sub, Jay. Can one of my mods get? Yeah, I can do it. Hang on. 1 second. Let me wait for this to keep up.
Some games were designed for controller. This is one of them.
Your nuts. These nuts are controlled for your chin. For your chin. I don't know. Your chin's made for these nuts. Here you go, Jay. My boy. Dude, win back. That was a fun stream. That was a fun stream. I like your retro streams too. Look at your hair. That was a while ago. That's an era.
I'm tracking the man behind all this. Chief Security Advisor Simmons.
Good one.
There must be some sort of
I think did I save this clip? I think I might. This might be me. Yeah, I saved it because the explosion happened during the fart redeem. Went back, gets so hard. You know what else gets fucking hard? Donkey Kong Country 2. Are you
Don't fucking touch my bitch.
Did you stream Winback 2 yet, Jay? Or were you planning on it? I forget. Did you stream that one? Because I think you did Winback and then you did Kill Switch, right? If I'm not mistaken.
He saved my life back in Raccoon City.
Azwelius. Yeah, Winback got unfair towards the end.
Oh, no.
I think Winback just goes a hair too long. I did like a single stream and didn't like it. Yeah, that was kind of my take too. I played it forever ago and I was like, this ain't great. But I think Kill Switch fucks. And went back to when I played a bit because I never finished it. Was pretty fun.
Leon, Blaine.
Excuse me.
Him again. Friend of yours.
Kill Switch is fun. Yeah, I like Kill Switch. Kill Switch is like proto Gears of War, basically.
Welcome to the club.
We have Nemesis at home.
You get used to it.
Oh man. All right, let's figure this out because I don't know the controls.
Got it.
Here, push this with me.
Oh, you got it. Oh shit, you don't got it.
Oh. Dude, space to sprint is fucking retarded.
Jump down, jump down. Yo, I thought I was gonna do more than that.
I thought so too. I was like, got him. Nope. No. Oh, fucking Sherry.
Oh god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'll be right there. I'm looking for where else to put shit off.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh my god. I'll be right there. There's boxes. These are more. They're more important than you. I'm just a little baby.
I'm a baby. Yeah, with no money. I can pay in blocks. No.
Oh shit! I dropped right next to him. Wait, where'd he go?
Oh fuck! He jumped down somewhere.
How'd we get up there?
Now's our chance. Let's go.
Oh, where?
Because he's running away.
Yeah, then stay out. You better run. Okay, here we go. There's boxes up there though. V. Oh fuck.
What
are you doing? Oh, you're doing inventory shit?
There are boxes up there.
Or maybe I could too. Hold on, what you got? What you got going on? Let me see. E.
There's a button over here? What does the button do?
Yeah, what does it do? Did you open shit? What are you doing?
I push this button, I drop this platform.
Oh, and it lowers it and I can get on it. Push it again.
I'm not getting an option, I would push it again.
Oh. Oh. You just climb. There's boxes. Fuck you! I don't know. I'm just... And we gotta push this, and then this we fight the motherfucker again. Okay, okay. Well, these will be on the floor if he shows up again over here, okay? We gotta shoot him, he's on top of it, alright? But now we gotta go where it's telling us, which is right here.
Okay.
You got it.
I don't want to play this with mouse and keyboard. This is such a cozy controller game.
Like how Leon has to get thrown up.
Are you okay?
What are we doing?
Leon, you big bitch.
Is he chasing us? What are we doing?
No, he's chasing us. He's
What
on
do we
my
do?
side, looks
Hold
like.
on. We just hang out over here? Oh, there's a bus.
so.
Hang on. No, hold on. Survive.
Ow, what the
Oh, there's
fuck are you shooting me
boxes.
with? Put that shit again, bitch. Come on, come on, come over here, come over here. Walk this way. Walk this way!
Down this way. The.
Oh, he's running.
All right, hold on. We're doing shit. I'm quick timing. I'm quick timing with a CPU Leon.
Okay.
Hey, what up, Angel? How you doing?
On it.
As you can guess, me and Lemon are still yelling at each other.
Oh.
What up, Angel?
Oh shit, I better heal.
Everybody, for the love of God. Oh shit. Give Angel a motherfucking follow. You wanna know why? Because she's awesome and she does a lot of horror streams and she's a trip.
Whoa, you
well
totally
worth your
missed.
time.
You completely missed that guy.
No, I didn't drive. It's quick time for me.
Completely missed that guy.
I didn't miss. The computer missed. This is
Drove
scripted.
right past
This
him.
is scripted, you bitch.
How could you be giant?
I hate you so much. That wasn't me. I have no faith. I have no
Just
say in
like
that.
a woman. No shit.
You're the worst. You're the fucking worst. It was the fucking computer.
Sure.
You bitch. Oh boy, he's doing shit. Hello, Jay. Thank you for the shout out. I always appreciate it. Yeah, everybody, no, for real, give Angel baby girl a follow. She's awesome. I'm not just saying that. She had one of the best Dead Rising streams I've ever fucking seen, and she was hilarious to watch while playing Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Like I said,
She was like simping on fucking Pyramid Head the whole time.
I was hoping you were exactly. Great not. Doesn't mean we gotta make things easy for him.
Hi, Cyber. You also never send me a nude. Wait, are we asking for nudes again? What's happening? Did we just shoot him? Am I supposed to fucking do something?
Okay, well,
I'm scared. I'm scared to get next to him.
I didn't even do anything. I didn't even
Okay.
do
Oh,
anything.
I think we got him. Never sent me that nude. Okay, yeah, he did ask for him. Nice. That's Jay's signature move. It's like, Pikachu, use quick attack. My nudes are buried out in the Japanese off yourself forest. Oh my god, that's funny. In the Japanese off yourself forest. Okay, that I had to read that twice. That's funny. See that wit? You only get that wit if you follow her. So everybody, do yourself a favor and check out Angel Baby Girl's streams on my way. Can't say that it's... Can't say it, that's why. No, I got it. It just took me a while.
We should hurry.
You know, reverse, buddy. No, she's awesome, dude. For real. For real, on God. No cap, straight busted, 360 no scope blazer. How much is a ticket to Glorious Nippon? Is that what it's called? Good luck. Remember, X marks the spot. LOL. There was a box over here if you want it.
I think I'm maxed out.
Oh, all right.
I haven't been able to pick it up for a while.
Well, go fuck yourself then.
Okay, let's drop skill points for me. I can pick that up.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Or not. I was reloading on my ammos.
Hold on to this dick.
It can't be a real place. The Unalive Forest is a very real place. I don't know what it's called though. He might have just given you the actual name. Okay, I was trying to avoid it, but go for it.
God damn, I want to make another joke, but I don't want to get your stream taken down or something.
Just go for it. Oh, it's worth the risk. I want to hear it. What is it?
I was like, it's right next to the faggot forest.
What the fuck, dude? I should have known. That's on me. That's my fault. Wait, why can't I pick up anything? Hold on.
Are you full?
I have no room for anything. I have weapons up the ass, but I can't pick up any herbs. I can't drop weapons, can I?
Because you're fucking maxed out. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, dude. It's fucking annoying.
This is
like,
the worst, dude.
It completely fills up your inventory.
This is the worst. Are you fucking kidding me?
You have to like drop grenades or the
That's the thing. I can't drop a grenade because like, are you looking at my stream? It's just guns and this baton I don't want. And the worst thing is I'm using my mouse and keyboard, so it's like I don't know how to drop these.
Drop some ammo. I'm not drop these.
Oh wait. I think I figured it out. And then okay, and then dude, this is the most unintuitive AI UI I've ever experienced. It's like, okay.
Oh my God, Vaughn, you can't say that word.
Everybody, just so you know, just because this button means jump on the controller doesn't mean that translates on mouse and keyboard. Just throwing that out there.
If Joey can say the N word, I can say the F word.
Are you
faggot?
All right, I'm done. I'll stop.
Gay for everyone here.
Both bannable. Yeah. No, we should chill.
Ching Chong isn't banned yet, right?
Stop. Save it for your stream.
Nobody watches your stream.
Yeah, I have 18 viewers. I don't want to scare them off.
You're gonna be fine. Okay?
Nice. He's kicking me in the head. What up, Jay? How's work, man? Why would he die?
Oh, this is a chainsaw guy again.
What up, Cyber?
Is that you?
The Pierce.
I don't know how me and Vaughn are allowed to have a platform. Well, it's like I like the idea of having one myself, so I would like to stop. Work is boring. I'm gonna hobo watch because some vagrant broke into someone's car yesterday. Oh, that sucks. Wait, what was that about? Do we have to dodge?
I'm driving.
You're driving? No.
But it's like it's not real
great.
driving. It's like quick time driving.
That's insane. Oh shit. Give me the fucking controller back or the camera back.
Okay, I'm not driving anymore. Run.
Run? Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just into the next leg.
Well, we got bad things behind us. Can I kill them? With
They're
me?
behind us. Who gives a fuck?
Alright. Is Vaughn driving a soccer mom car again? I don't think Vaughn's ever driven the soccer mom car.
He doesn't know shit about cars.
Jay? I don't know, actually. Jay, do you know shit about cars?
Oh, are we supposed to fight this guy up here?
I think so. It would, we can kill it. We killed it before. Oh boy. Vaughn! Where are you? Vaughn!
I'm shooting. I'm shooting the guy.
I'm scared. He was next to me and you weren't there.
I know everything about cars. I was so scared.
I needed you.
They're not shooting at us, they're helping us. Maybe they're buddies in the PSAA.
Uh-oh. 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 Wow, dude. It was a G.I. Jane joke. Fluxy Pastor have an ass.
Both these motherfuckers like, oh, there's no Type R Honda Civic. There's no Type R Honda Civic.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fucking is.
Who redeemed that? Thank you. That's probably the loudest redeem I have, but thank you. I really appreciate that. I love that game.
I'm listening.
Who redeemed that? That was Jay? Oh, nice, nice. He knew what's up. Alright, hold on. Switch to this weapon. Alright. Alright, coming on you, coming on you. Where are we going? We're going...
We're jumping down here.
Wait, where'd you go?
We jumped down onto the fucking raft.
Oh. I see it. Dude, this feels so weird with a fucking mouse and keyboard.
God damn, you mean about buy you a fucking compass? Holy shit.
Just fucking switch to mouse and keyboard right now. I need you to feel this, dude.
Why would I play this game the wrong way?
Well, I don't have just so you can see that I'm handicapped right now.
Civics don't even reel.
Bond is a poser. What kind of car do you drive?
I have a Ford Fiesta ST.
Is that a good one? I don't know.
That's alright.
Oh, Panic Thumb. Nice. Thank you. You might be the first person to actually redeem that. Oh, dude, we missed a chest, I think.
These liberals are trying to assassinate my character. I can't change their mind.
No.
I won't change my mind, because I don't have to.
Because I'm American. Fucking love that show.
This is... Oh, God. Okay, this is a fucking...
I'm depending on you. I have no idea what's happening.
I can't do anything. I have no control of what's happening.
Are we supposed to crash into it? I think we are.
Yep. Defeat the BOW.
I won't change my mind, because I don't have to. Because I'm an American.
Off here? Where do we go?
It's on here with us.
Okay, well, God, okay, we're fighting
Oh, it's Chainsaw Guy again. Dude, he's more annoying than the fucking other guy.
Got you, fam. Why can't I reload?
Thanks, babe.
Why can't I reload? Why can't I reload? Why can't I reload?
Melee him, if you can. Oh, maybe not.
Oh, God. Nope.
Oh, we did it. We did the thing. We did the thing. Civics don't even real is such a fun sentence to read. Civics don't even real.
What the hell was that?
I don't know, but whoever they are, they just saved my life.
I was also thinking about doing a Uncharted stream.
Over there, that's the rendezvous point.
Would you guys be down for Uncharted?
Man, that's a fucking classic.
Dude, remember I told you? Because like I always played them like at least on hard, right? I played them on normal last time, and I think I was in a chat with you. I was like, dude, I'm having so much fucking fun. Like I'm doing all the fucking Indiana Jones shit. More like Unfarted.
Yeah.
Nice. No, that's a game where I feel like just play on normal. Who are you trying to impress? Not me.
Reloading.
What?
Oh, what's happening? Okay, Ada Wong's coming in apparently.
Is that what happened? Wait, Jay, are you an Uncharted fan? I feel like Jay would like Uncharted. I know Jay likes Tomb Raider, and they're basically the same shit, so... It's Gears of Tomb Raider.
Basically, yeah.
That's like the best description I could think of, to be honest. Gears of Tomb Raider. I like them, yeah. Nice.
Yes.
But not yet. It's just something like I'm thinking of in the future. For now, I'm on like my retro Donkey Kong Country thing. God damn, that whiskey's hitting me hard. Can't talk right now.
I'm jealous.
Joe, I'm kind of retarded.
For now.
I ain't got no whiskey.
I got whiskey. Yeah, that's all I have. But yeah. After Donkey Kong Country 3, I'm gonna play Donkey Kong 64, as per Jay's recommendation. And it's my first time. I've never played it. I've only heard things. Womb Raider, nice. I've only heard a few things. I've heard it's tedious. I've heard like it kind of like makes you play as all the Kangs. So you have to like play the game like 4 times or some shit like that. Like I'm just going off of like my interpretation of what I've heard. I could be very wrong, but it did sound tedious. I love Donkey Kong Country a lot, and I don't think it's a 1-to-1 translation. Then DK64 after. Wait, what, Cyber? I'm saying after 3, I'm gonna play 64. 64 is fun as fuck if you like 3D collectathons. I played the shit out of the first well, not Ratchet & Clank, Jack and Daxter, and that's a collectathon. Actually, I heard Jack and Daxter is like, really? You start with 2 and 3? I heard Jack and Daxter is basically. I heard it was like a Mario 64 clone.
Basically, yeah.
I never really got into Mario 64. I'm trying to. I want to. I want to be a fan.
Kindly take these 2 into custody.
Oh, it's the guy that turns into a fucking Transformer fly T-Rex thing.
Is it true?
You ever played Jack and Daxter games?
No, I played 1 and 2 with you, and then I'm like halfway through 3. Once again, we had a thing going on. Yeah, dude, you were in my room and we were playing through it. Remember?
The president is good for the country.
I don't.
Fuck you.
Well, we have Leon.
I might have been drunk.
No, probably. But no, I for sure played 1 in high school. You were with me when I finished 2, and then we started 3. It's classic rare, so fun world, mechanics are amazing, and music. That's what I'm looking forward to. I don't think. I mean, of the rare games I played, which aren't many, I just basically just the Donkey Kong games. They don't miss. Oh, Rare made Diddy Kong Racing, right? I fucking love that game.
Can we wrap this up? I do.
But yeah, Jay, after Donkey Kong Country 3, I'll play 64. It'll be my first time, a blind playthrough. Wish me luck. I don't know, I'm like nervous. I'll get lost. You guys will yell at me. You guys will go, Joey.
Thanks. I'll put a call into FOS.
Next. Neat. Yeah, it's next.
Now move!
This is Fast and Furious. What fun?
I really should play the Uncharted games again.
Do you own them?
You promise.
Yeah, I own the collection, but I own on PlayStation though.
You can stream. Are you unable to capture your PS3? Dude, you should get an Elgato, dude.
I don't really have anywhere to run.
How many monitors do you have? First of all,
only 1.
All right, I would say at least 2. Here, you'll be in town tomorrow, right? You don't have space for 1 more monitor?
I don't think so, unless it was like a small one.
You could use a small one for like OBS and then capture and then like preview and stream your bigger one. I heard whiskey.
That's the only
We were
way
talking
I
whiskey
could do
forever
it.
ago, Rooster. That's funny. I want to do Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Oh, that's what I was saying, guys. I have a repo copy of Conquer's, so what is it? Because Jay got me curious, and I own it. This was gifted to me from Robert. I have Quest 64, but I also have this is a reproduction cart. Now, this is the only fake one I have, but this is Conquer's. So if I get a taste for blood after Donkey Kong, I'll probably play either Banjo or Conquer's after that. But I low-key also want to do Donkey Kong Country Returns and then Donkey Kong Country Tropic Freeze. Do Conquer's, Joey. Well, let me finish my Donkey Kong fixation first. Quest 64 is such a piece of shit. The first and only game I ever played to have a literal turd monster. I really wish I was playing with mouse or controller right now.
37,000.
What's up? Are you leaving me?
No, I'm looking at my perks. Perks I can buy.
Critical hit. Upgraded to level 3, baby.
Yeah, I have mine level 3. It's pretty good. Debating saving up for a firearm level 3. I feel like that doesn't really matter that much once you have crit hit level 3.
Yeah, you do your thing. I'll be right back.
Well, I'm gonna do my own thing too.
Alright. What'd I miss? I forgot to have Angel on my Discord so she could send me these. Is she not here anymore? Oh, yeah, she left. You scared her off, Jay. Sorry, I'll open that again. Vacation. Give me two. Oh, that's right. That's right. Nice.
Bro.
I'm so hungry.
Yeah, me too. I was just about to say.
Wait, are you really? Were you saying are you gonna leave for food?
No, not if. I mean, I'm not gonna hold you up.
No, I'm good. I can keep playing.
I generally try to avoid eating dinner.
You try to avoid eating dinner?
Yeah, to cut back on calories.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll be your sponsor here. Let's go. Let's keep playing.
Okay, let's do it. But I was gonna say, do you see that? New Marvel Rivals update
with
the new characters
with Emma Frost.
Yeah,
dude.
Boy,
they didn't have to. Where'd she get all that? Where'd all that come from? She's never been that thick.
Boy, she's thick.
Emma Frost thick. Dude, her fucking chest going crazy. She probably went to go take some really good ones from me. Oh, that's funny.
Dude, they gave her fucking
dump truck, dude.
Jiggle in all the right spots. It's not like a ridiculous. It's like the exact perfect amount of jiggle on thighs. It's like not that much. It's like just a little bit makes it fucking tempting. It's like damn. God damn.
Where'd you get all that from? That was a lot, dude. I never saw that in the comic. Like I knew people simp, but I saw her and I was like, wait a minute.
They just saw everybody thirsting after Squirrel Girl, like we can do that. We can do that.
Right? You know what's funny? It's that one meme where it's like they throw like Luna, right? And they're like bigger, and then Squirrel goes there and he's like bigger, and then they throw fucking Susan Storm in there and he's like bigger, and then fucking Emma Frost shows up. She's like, hold my beer.
Yeah. God damn.
It's perfection. I do think okay.
Don't lie, Audie. You fucking thirsting at those thighs, dude. Don't even lie.
Audie.
Everybody thirsting at those thighs.
It's objective at this point. It's the Magneto meme. The one I was thinking was there's that dude, I forgot his name, but he used to work for, he's the guy that got fired during the Kane Lynch fiasco over at GameSpot. But he was doing is that his name? He's the one with the meme, right? Where he's like bigger, and then they show like a Pixar mom or something. He's like bigger, and then a different Pixar mom. He's like bigger. Oh, Brixie's calling us gooners. No.
Yeah, I'm 100% a gooner. I'll own that. I'll own that. I don't give a fuck.
That's my secret.
I am the target audience. Fuck you.
That's my secret cap. I'm always gooning.
I'm 100% gonna buy that skin.
Okay, and
that's why
I'm a Brixie. We don't approve. Yeah, so that's funny.
That's why Marvel Rivals is making bank, and why
they're making
Sony whatever the fuck is fucking died after 2 weeks.
They are making bank. Yeah, what up, Brixie? How you doing? Hey, Audie, my sweet.
Make skins that people want to buy. Make money.
And actually, I'll have you know I'm a jelker. What's Scott?
I was thinking of Adam Driver. He's fucking more.
Yeah, that's the Star Wars one. Yeah. No, what's the difference between jelking and gooning? Also, are you done yet, Ryan? Ryan, fucking Vaughn.
I am, but I'm still thinking about her thighs.
That's fair.
Fucking one of the devs is like, how much thigh do you want to put on this bitch? All of it. How much?
All right. Are you doing
the professional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's cutting you out when you're in the middle of all.
That was my fucking peaking set too low.
Your filters are kicking in.
Filters are too high. What the fuck is happening? I hit start.
Oh. Okay. No, hold on. Back. Wait. Okay, we're good. There we go.
Fuck's that? Jelking is tugging on. Hang on. God damn. Why can't I scroll back?
Jelking is tugging on your penis until it tears to make it longer over time. Gooning is just edging fancier. My God. Thank you, Audie. Is it jelking? You might be right now that I think about it. There's no way that works.
I'm sorry.
No, it definitely works. It's just like on your tongue, you know, like that piece of skin on the bottom side.
The frenulum?
You just snip that? Yeah, the frenulum. I like that. You just snip that. It's the same thing for your cock. You just snip the
Were you in town? Were you in town when I tore mine?
Ultra. No.
So it was right before graduation, and I forgot what I was doing. I was eating like a Wendy's chicken sandwich, and I was hanging out with Bryce, and I'm just like talking. I'm like blah 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 blah, and then somehow the frenulum, the thing under your tongue, it didn't just rip. It split open like a bag of potato chips, you know?
What the fuck?
Oh, what up, Devil? Tongue, yeah. Devil, you saw it. Trevor saw it. He called it my tongue pussy because it looked like a little pussy in my mouth under my tongue.
Oh my God.
It was so fucking painful, dude. I
How
ordered
hard
the
are you
retro
sucking
team.
that cock, dude? Goddamn.
It was a Wendy's chicken sandwich. I think somehow like the way I was like talking and then like maybe my tongue. No. I think what happened was like my tongue tensed.
Jack that cock.
I can tell you, or you gonna keep joking. I think what happened was. All right, do your thing.
You gotta fucking activate that Jack 9000 on that fucking deep.
Oh, definitely not. But it's hysterical that it exists. Deadwolf, I'm really glad you ordered it. Did you get my text about the cables? There's per console cables that you should absolutely look into getting, unless you want a little fuzz. Cause you saw my Donkey Kong Country streams, right? That was with fucking Bond. We just hold on for 10 goddamn seconds. I'm trying to give actual advice here. I'm trying to give it back actual advice here.
Go back to back.
Shut the fuck up for 20 goddamn seconds.
Deep fried
all right. Deadwolf, if you want more advice, fucking text me because I can't talk right now.
Good luck.
You know what you signed up for.
Thanks.
Did you have a little fuzz around that tongue pussy, or did it keep it? I kept it shaved. It was like smooth.
Oh, you missed the fucking. Oh wait, we can't hit this. We don't have guns.
I saw
fucking
it.
Blue.
No, I see it. I saw it.
I don't know if that shit even matters in this game.
Oh, there's a monster in here. What? Oh.
Is it a white monster or a blue monster?
It's this. It's a black monster.
You sure? Hey, break down the door. Save me from climbing through those air ducts.
Big black monster.
BBM.
Do you have an ID?
Hey, break down the door. Save me from climbing through those air ducts.
We about to hear a fucking beep.
I came here.
Let me redeem that.
Kick ass.
Let me redeem that shit right now.
My milk.
You redeem that?
Hey, break down the door.
Bitch, hold on.
Climbing through those air ducts.
Oh,
Yeah, break down that door with your little bird arms.
I'm just a girl.
I'm literally just a girl.
Climbing through those air ducts.
God damn it, Jake, shut the fuck up. You said that line like 5 times already.
Oh, Jake.
Hey, break down the door.
Do I shoot it? What do you want me to do?
Wearing another man's skin.
Oh,
feeling his innermost wants and desires. And being in control of his every single move. That's how you get.
Oh my god, he even said it.
Not bad for with me.
Don't you guys want to get off with me?
I don't know. What? I want you to get off.
I'm gonna get off either way.
Okay, just follow my lead, guys. We're gonna get off.
I'm gonna pick up this ammo there. Drop.
Over here. Bitch.
Over here.
Anyway, Devil. Yeah, if you're comfortable with how like my stream looked when I was playing Donkey Kong Country, just know that that's a retro tank with composite cables. If you want a bit more crisp pixels, then you might want to look into those Retro Vision component cables I sent you.
Crisp.
Because some people like a little fuzz with their pixel games, which I get. Those games weren't meant to be seen like that. You know what I mean?
I like that crispy cock that Joey ripped his tongue pussy on.
Nice.
To activate elevator, please attach.
You got me. No, the best thing I can, like, the best way I can explain it is, like, I'm pretty sure, because I talk a lot, right?
Won't know
And I was eating Arby's. No, it was Wendy's, and I think, like, somehow, like, mid-sentence, my tongue, like, tensed at just the right syllable.
That is insane.
I don't know what happened, but the best way to explain it is, like, it split like a fucking potato chip bag. Ask Trevor. Trevor saw it. Trevor saw it. He called it my tongue pussy.
Damn it. Well, I guess that's why they call it a punchline.
I was got a weak tongue. He's got weak tongue game.
Don't flatter
I never got any complaints.
With that attitude,
Get in here.
you see why nobody likes
Oh shit! I can't. I'm stuck.
Love me. Just ask your wife.
What happened in that room in New York?
Which one are we supposed to shoot?
What was
Yes.
the question?
Oh god.
Wait, what is this? Oh,
Oh, yeah, that's the handy though.
what are we doing wrong?
I don't know. We should grab like a battery or some shit.
Oh, it's over here. Now it lets us go over here. Well, it said V for a second.
I don't know.
I saw
there's one to
V.
grab for them. I think I'm too drunk for this. Why have to drop a puzzle right now?
It's not even a puzzle. We're just dumb.
I know. We're just fucking retarded.
Wow, I forgot about that movie.
I'm too busy. Oh,
Jay,
hang on, I found a.
That is absolutely one of like my dumb fun movies. I know it's a bad movie, but it's fun.
We got no choice.
Fucking Guy Pearce goes so hard in that movie. And I think they got sued. I was just about to say it's basically like Escape from New York in space, and they got sued by John Carpenter because it's literally that. I saw it once, I remember nothing. That's fair. It's not great, but it's something about like the time it came out, I couldn't help but like just jive with it.
What the fuck? Jump.
All right, you gotta wait for it to come back, I guess. Oh, you're on here. Okay, never mind.
Wait for me to come on your back?
Shut the fuck up. Wait, why am I stuck? Okay, next time.
Yeah, I'll come on your back next time.
It's like that one bit from Parks and Rec. It's like everybody likes a good comeback story. Seabiscuit, and this and that, and then Andy, he's like Kim Kardashian, and she's like, well, that's not really a comeback story. He's like, no. In the video, she ain't coming back. And then the whole cast like loses their fucking shit.
I really should have. That show sounds like right up my alley.
I think you'd like it. I think you'd like it. Oh, my bad. In New Game Plus, can you make her wear the hospital gown the whole time? I actually think you might be able to, Jay. I think that might be a thing. I think that might be a thing. This is actually my first PC playthrough. And I really am salty. It's not letting me use my controller right now. I don't know what happened.
Oh god. Okay, there's a monster in here. They just fucking spawn on me.
Nice. This is a good game after all. This is a great game. Like I said, I get it. I get it. I would go as far as to say it might be a bad Resident Evil, but this is a good game. This game is a blast to play. This game is fun. But tonally, it is anime now, and I'm like, yeah, like I get it. If this is not what somebody wants from the franchise, I totally understand.
It's objectively better than Resident Evil 2.
Shut the fuck up, you psychopath.
The fuck are we? We're trying to beat up this hand.
It keeps giving me the prompt to do it. I'm just missing it. There you go. There you go. Alright, we're going this way. I gotta go. Actually do my job. Have fun. All right, peace out, Jay. Thanks for hanging out. I miss you actually being in my streams. I miss you.
Oh, hang on. I found a red herb. I need to combine it. Hang on.
Oh, actually, yeah, I'm coming. Coming on you. Coming on you. Also, where's the red herb?
Well, I just random drop from me. I don't know if it dropped for you.
Oh, it was from an enemy?
Yeah.
Here, oh, I got herbs though. Oh, wait. Don't go yet, please. Space. Okay. See, because I'm mouse and keyboard, there's two accept buttons now. You know what I mean? Like there's R, there's E, and then there's space, and it's like, whichever one the game wants at whatever moment is like up in the air.
Sounds like a skill issue.
It's not a skill issue. These are bad controls. They literally took the
options.
No, shut the fuck up and listen to me. They took the easiest option. They literally shut the fuck up. I'm gonna mute you, dude. They no, what they did was they took the bindings for the controller. They took the bindings for the controller and literally were just like, all right, this is this button, this is this button, and it doesn't work that way, dude. Why is space sprint? Why is R accept? You know what I mean? Like this is dumb, dude.
It's three options to accept, and you can't hit any of them. God damn.
I'm gonna fucking Whenever I see you tomorrow, I'm gonna fucking put you in a chokehold on site, dude.
Oh god, this guy won't die.
Hey, so you're so good at it, right? You got this.
Yeah, I got it. I got this. See, look how I juked that shit. Yeah, I'm reloading. Fuck you, I wakened him.
Loosen him for me.
Yeah, I loosened him up for you. Got my sloppy seconds.
Alright, going left over here.
What, fucking kill this guy?
We're jumping back over here? Restore power to the elevator.
A little... What is this? What is this? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm saying, I'm like looking through a window.
I'm moving to the objective.
Oh.
God damn it.
Oh, bitch, jump!
I pressed space. It wouldn't let me.
You hit the wrong button? You hit three options.
I hit space. It said space. I hit space. I don't know what happened. I hate you right now. Just, you're like, I'm like actually a little triggered. He's doing it. Go, you bitch! I had a monster next to me. In my defense, I was fighting. All right, let me wait for it to come back. God damn it! Is it coming up yet? Okay. Fucking finally. All right, now we're going.
Found the right button.
In here. I hate you. In here. You know what, Vaughn? Go fucking eat. No, no, don't yet. I'm having fun.
Oh fuck! Don't you fucking?
I'm pulling a lever.
I'm fine.
Can you help?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't need help from a woman.
Actually, I might have somebody here. Oh, yep, I got monsters too. All right, I'm pulling the lever. Can you do it yet?
I'm fine.
Pull the fucking lever then.
Oh, oh, I see what you mean.
There is a monster over here.
Two-person lever.
It is. I hear somebody. I might have to bail to fight them unless you don't get here fast enough.
I'm about to pull it.
It might be a bit too late, dude. Okay, cool.
Yeah, take me a second to find the button.
Reserve battery 3 activated. 75% charged.
One more left.
There's nowhere to go.
I don't know. We gotta get back on it, don't we? No, we gotta get back on it and then.
Is it rotating? Oh,
yeah, it comes back down. And then I think you have to rotate an F. See, hold left bumper. I think is for you.
I found it. Maybe? Yeah, I found it.
Somebody to go this way.
I found a case. Skill points.
Did you did your little
found boxes.
Little athletic shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it wants me to come back up here to F, so I think it split us up for sure.
Yeah, I don't see anything in here. Is this just an extra area?
I couldn't tell you, brother. All I know is it's telling me where to go.
I didn't really find anything like progression or period. Okay, now there's two fucking blocks. Rotating all over the place. Sweet. Okay, it's sending me up here. See what happens if I go in here. Oh, you're dying.
Oh, I'm getting attacked. I'm not dying yet.
Oh, it still wants me to go over here. Okay, so now over here.
Man.
This. Okay, so let's go in here.
What does it want you to do?
I'm not really sure, honestly. It just keeps pointing me to a fucking center.
Now, let me see. Where's my telling me to go? There's ammo over here.
Some more boxes. What happens if I go down this?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright.
Found a lever? But I can't pull it. Okay, well I found a lever that probably has a pair.
Is it lever? Do I have to pull one too?
I would assume so.
All right, let me see. Let me see.
It's not giving me an option for it.
What's over here?
It's clearly like a
Hold
pullable lever.
on. It might be guiding me to somewhere.
And there's like, oh, and there's a laser grid.
Oh boy.
I think you have to get on a platform and get to somewhere.
Alright, I'm going somewhere. Do I know where? No. Oh shit, this platform is making me take a big ass circle? Alright, I'm on my way. Oh my god, Sherry, you fucking bitch! Alright, next cycle. I'll be there. It's so annoying, dude. Sherry! I'm pressing space. She just won't. I don't know what the fuck it wants me to do, man. I got these fucking enemies all over here now. Hold on. Please, game. Okay, I'm on it now. Now what the fuck do you want me to do?
I'm in here.
I'm here too now. All right, now what?
There's a lever, but it's like, and there's another lever on the other side of a laser.
It's telling me to go over here.
Okay, you can try staying there since
I'm going where it's telling me. You do your thing too.
Platforms, apparently.
Oh, there's the lever. Are you at the lever yet? Pull it.
Well, no, because I have to. Well, no, I'm not at the lever yet.
Let me know when you're there. I'm at the lever.
Good jumping. Let's see, so we're taking over here.
Wait,
are you going here? Let's see, I'll go down this hallway.
Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I found it.
Okay, I'm pulling mine.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Nah. No. Oh shit.
Oh, okay, that's cool. It just fucking pushed me to the fucking electrical. That's fine, that's fine. Fucking game sucks.
Oh shit, I think it is killing you, isn't it?
Yep. Oh, I've seen this hentai before.
What's it called? Asking for a friend. Yo, what's poppin', home Sprinkles? What is your dog? How you doing? Oh damn, that was quick. He's not gonna be Resident Evil 7. Alright, well now we know what to do. Yo, what up, Ninja Dog?
Yeah, maybe it won't fucking push me to the goddamn laser wall this time. To unlock me. That's some fucking bullshit.
Don't suck. Quit sucking. Get good. I thought you were good at this.
Okay, there we go. That worked. I'm a fucking pro at this game.
Uh-oh.
Unexpected power surge detected. Please
I did it on purpose.
for evacuation.
I had to do that. Shit, as usual. You know what really grinds my gears, though? What grinds your gears, Ninja Dog?
At least the elevator works.
Okay, well, now that door's locked. Cool. Oh, okay, I'm through here.
What do we do?
We have to find a way to stop this.
That crane might do the trick.
Can we shoot it? Oh, dude, there's another lever to pull? Great. Alright. Go grind your gears, my boy. I'm pulling a lever. Is this a V? Space. Okay, good. And it's like, dude, wait, hold on. I'll read that in a second. I see a lot of like Zoomers getting into Resi, yeah? And they'll play the entire series up to 5 and then skip 6 because it's really... Dude, 6 is not bad. I'm not... Triggered. This game fucks.
This is the best game in the series.
This game has the biggest dick of them all. It wants you to know it. It's like, look at my big dick. That's what this game says. It's like, dude, you can't make up your own mind. This is, I guess, unironically, Lemon's favorite Resident Evil. It's one of my favorites. This might be my favorite co-op. But this game is not a bad game. If this game wasn't called Resident Evil, it'd be regarded as a fucking classic. People would be like, oh, yo, dude, remember fucking whatchamacallit? I'd be like, dude, whatchamacallit 6? That's my fucking favorite one. What do we do?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's falling down.
Are you supposed to jump off of the right side?
I think so.
So
also, no one knows what quick shot or use it properly. This is true. This is true. Quick shot is where it's at.
Up here?
I don't know. It's telling me to. Is it gonna drop? Okay, okay. Are we good?
Quick shot. What do you have to push? I have to fucking swim my stick.
I'm hitting left and right, or sorry, AD.
Oh shit. Easy.
Space.
Mash
I'm mashing space.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh god, this is my fucking carpal.
Wait, so Ninja Dog, are you a Resident Evil 6 defender? Because I am. This game fucks, dude. This is a good game. This is fun. Like, I was even saying earlier, like, I would say, like, sure, it might be a bad Resident Evil, but this is a good game, okay?
Terminator shit right here.
And I will die on that hill.
This is my bad thumb.
This is your bad thumb?
It is my bad thumb.
Also, how can you say this game is shit, yeah, and then defend Resi 0? Come on now. Actually, dude, when I was replaying Resident Evil 0, I didn't like it that much. I even said today, dude. I was in, you know, Jay Conquers? I was in his stream. I said I would rather play Resident Evil 6 than 0. But what are you up to, Ninja Dog? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well.
Do I have to do something?
Exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, oh, me too? Oh, shit. I thought it was a cutscene. This doesn't feel as good without a controller. Like, this is a game wholeheartedly, absolutely, definitively made with consoles in mind. And then they're like, oh, yeah, let's throw it on PC while we're at it.
Glad to see you're okay.
Wait, was that you who just freed us?
Looks like you guys saved the day again, huh?
Ansel's so hot right now.
I can see your father in you.
I can see my nuts in your chin.
You look like a little bitch just like you before I fucking launched a rocket at him in a volcano.
But I'm the one that killed him.
Like he looks at Sherry for permission.
I'm gonna cry.
I never knew my papa. I never knew my papa.
That's right.
You killed my dad.
It's funny if he did any research into what the fucking monster Wesker was. You know,
go ahead.
Like this dude was talking scorched earth. You know.
Just promise me you'll survive.
I'm gonna kill you.
Who the hell are you to tell me what to do?
Stop it!
Put your gun down now!
So fucking
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
So dramatic.
Orders. was it personal?
Both. Probably was a bitch.
Both.
Right, he just pushes him as far as
Let those little bitch eyes explode in the volcano.
I fucked him in the ass. I threw him on the ground and I raped him. The little bitch he is.
I used to fuck him like a fuck dudes in Tekken.
Things at stake.
I fucked him like a pig.
Oh, this is so dumb.
I'm Resident Evil Village Chris.
No, Resident Evil 6 Chris is even more unhinged than Village. I'll die on that hill.
No way.
Dude, Village Chris, like, he had a purpose. He was an idiot, but he wasn't like
He just fucking
psychotic.
shot a man's wife like in cold blood.
No, that wasn't his wife.
Without telling.
The thing is,
Yeah,
he should have told him. That's the thing. He should have told Ethan.
Ethan didn't know that.
He should have told Ethan.
For
Yeah.
all intents and purposes, Ethan thought that was his wife. He's like, didn't know explanation. He just came in, fucking blasted that bitch.
I like how his excuse was, Ethan, I would have told you, you would have come followed me. It's like, bitch, I'm here.
Yeah.
The end of the world. Must we stop it?
So, if that giant cocoon hatches,
We're in trouble.
What else grinds my gears? People who want to get into Dark Souls right, and then they go on Reddit, and whenever they get their opinion, then they get it in their head that they need to play Dark Souls 3 first. Like, we can't on guys anymore. I never played Dark Souls, so this means nothing to me. I have no idea what you're talking about. You're speaking French. Also, if you don't play Dark Souls 1, the last boss on Dark Souls 3 means nothing. I will never do that. I'm a guy that plays stuff in chronological order, even stuff that doesn't matter, like Final Fantasy. So if I play Dark Souls, I'm playing Dark Souls 1 first. No, he's saying like how a lot of people, I guess, recommend starting with 3, but I'm a from the beginning guy. Like, I'm not gonna skip around. If I play Dark Souls, I'm gonna play Demon Souls first.
You're not gonna play Demon Souls first.
Why not?
Because you don't. You're a little bitch.
Alright, it's official. I'm playing Dark Souls or Demon Souls.
No, you won't.
You know the buttons to push. You want me to do this. That's why you're talking shit.
I do want you to do it, so you're not gonna do it.
Oh!
you know how I know? Because I played Dark Souls, and then I played the remake, and I was like, holy fuck, this game sucks.
What about Demon Souls? What'd you say?
I literally played the original Demon Souls at your event.
Yeah, did you play the remake?
And then I played the remake. Yeah, I did play the remake. I was like, oh, I know how to do this. I was like, holy fuck, this game is hard as shit. And I stopped.
You stopped to think that maybe you just turned into a little bitch?
I did turn into a little bitch.
See, I was born in the bitch, molded by it.
This motherfucker hasn't even played fucking Bloodborne yet. He's not gonna play. He's not gonna play.
No. The thing is, I wanted to play Bloodborne, but I don't want to skip. I'm gonna play Dark Souls and all that.
You can play Bloodborne without any fucking. Like, you don't have to. It's separate.
You can.
I mean, I don't have to because I played the original.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want that experience.
You're not gonna do that.
Are you trying to motivate me? Because it's more
I unironically don't believe that you will ever play the
Demon Souls.
Well, yeah, you won't do it.
Do you have it?
Do you have my PS3? Oh wait, no.
You had the remake?
I borrowed one of your guys. I borrowed somebody's copy.
Oh.
He's either Brad's or.
No, I'm talking about the remake. Do you have the remake?
I do. I think it's digital though.
Oh, you think or you know?
I don't know for sure. I think it's the digital copy.
Well, either way, can you bring back Returnal?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you'll be in town tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I will.
Can you bring it with you?
Yeah.
Because
not like you're gonna play it or anything.
Don Trey and I have been looking for a game co-op, and we wanted to play that one, but I was like, oh fuck, he has it.
You're not gonna play it.
I hate you so much right now, dude.
How long did you own that game?
It's funny. I think I got it with my PS5, but I didn't play it. I didn't play it until he wanted to co-op. Because it's co-op. It's co-op. I was in co-op with it.
So you haven't played it?
I was gonna play co-op. No, I did play it.
So
I did play it.
So I
did play it. I did play it.
There is no way they
Sure.
can take
How
that.
long?
Ask. A couple hours, maybe 3 hours. I played it with
I think
Dante.
I might have played it more than you, and you bought it when it
Okay,
came
well,
out.
even then, I was saying I didn't play it solo. I played it when he asked to play it with me.
You know what?
And then you said you
You're not
wanted to
gonna
play it. So
You're not gonna play Demon Souls.
I'm gonna make damn sure that it stays.
how much is it?
We're getting
I'm a game flat. I'll make it my next game. I won't stream it, but I will play it.
No, if you don't stream it, you didn't play it.
I'll show you my trophies. It'll be like, boop, you beat Demon Souls.
Streamer didn't happen.
3 hours? Damn, you must have beat the game 27 times. Demon Souls is free on PS Plus. Wait, is it really this month? Right now? Wait, Ninja Dog, are you being for real right now? Oh wait, are you talking about the Big Dick Plus? I don't have that one. I just have like the basic one. If that's what you're talking about. I don't like the Game Pass. I don't have that. Last I checked, yeah, I don't have that one.
You know who has it? This guy.
You have it digitally. You're one of them.
Well, I also have the Big Dick PS Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Even though I don't use it. I should probably stop paying for that.
Probably. What is it? It's like what, 100 and something a year, 120 a year.
Wait, is
60
it
a year?
the big dick? Is it like the Magnum?
Well,
dick
okay,
edition?
no,
Or is
not
it
the
like
Magnum, because the Magnum one, the big dick, comes with like the PS. Oh, you can play PSP and PS1. Then
Yeah,
there's
I
just
don't have the Magnum dick edition.
Yeah,
I just
there's
have the big dick edition.
Okay. You got the Mandingo.
Yeah, I don't got the Mandingo.
He just won't die. With a
This
saggy
fucking
face.
Hills have eyes, motherfucker.
He does look like Hills Have Eyes, or like he looks like remake Nemesis.
It's fucking
with the nose.
Fucking great value Nemesis.
Kroger.
Yeah, Kroger
Nemesis. Mr. Log, 2:10 a.m. Bottle is empty. Mission accomplished. Returning to bed. All right, peace out, Rooster. Thank you for hanging out. At least that's how I took it. That's how I interpreted that. You're leaving me. Just like every other bitch.
Come get some, you son of a bitch.
You ugly son of a bitch. I'm assuming we have to run
We
here.
can't find him right here. It's too dangerous.
I was like, come get me, son of a bitch. And we just...
Hey, asshole! This way!
Not leaving. Okay, good. It sounded like you were leaving. Oh boy.
Push! Push like you're giving birth!
Oh fuck.
We do your breathing exercises! Run away!
Oh crap!
Keeps on up in his game.
No time to punch.
Oh, do we fight here?
Oh fuck, I don't even know, son.
Oh, he's swinging his shit. Oh, fuck? My voice, like, came from off screen. I don't know what we're supposed to do here.
I guess we fight him.
I'm just shooting.
I'm just a girl.
Oh, he's throwing his shit at me. I'm running. Okay, well, we weren't next to each other, but okay.
Don't worry about that. Is it though?
Much better. How is it better? We're in fucking tight little
He doesn't care. Do whatever it takes to kill us.
Bad weapon.
Oh god, that hurt.
Oh shit.
Reloading!
Oh, you hit me.
Reloading! Ooh, I dodged that like a fucking goddamn pro. I'm gonna lay on the ground. Oh, no, I'm not.
Nice. Let's just keep shooting them. I don't know. I'm low on everything. Ah!
Go on this way, motherfucker.
It's a big circle all over
over here.
Sherry.
Punch him.
Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him, get him.
Oh. Oh, look at my bad thumb. Look at my bad thumb.
Fucking bad thumb. Shut the fuck up.
Just like a woman drop her handgun. Oh fuck! I dropped my handgun.
You're just as much of a bitch as I am. What? That's so deliberate for a monster like this, dude.
Let's fucking throw hand, mother. Catch these hands, motherfucker. Let's fucking catch these hands.
Keep doing your thing. I'm going somewhere. Got a little side quest.
Okay, well, he just kicked me in the dick.
Lucky. I should be the one kicking you in the fucking dick right now.
I don't know what to do. Oh, fuck.
Covering you. I'm covering you or something.
Okay, that's an XA or something.
Oh.
Dodge.
Move him this way. Go to the other side. Lure him to the other end.
Oh, okay, I have to watch out for these fucking quick times. I'm punching. Oh, dodge.
Yeah, if you can get past him, go to the other side.
Dodge. Okay, hit me. I'm son. Ow, he grabbed me.
Suck. Okay, nice, 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 nice. Now back up, go to the other side, and I'll try to get him with something.
Fucking ass kicked over here. Oh, fuck. God damn it.
That might have hurt a little.
That's it, Jake. You got it.
Wait, what?
Get these hands. These hands.
I'm going the other side. Wait, right? I'm just watching you now. You can do it, Jake.
You got it.
That's it, Jake. You gotta get him, Jake. What did I do?
You can do it, Jake.
Here. Go a bit on the other side. Push him back again. You're doing great, kid.
Dodge. Sweet. 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 Sweet.
Alright, waiting for this to reset. So I was complaining about the price of Delta being. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, dude. I'll read your chat. I'll catch up on chat later, guys. No, watch out! Watch out! Oh shit! I thought I got you for a second. Keep him in the middle if you can, or as best you can. Wait for this to reset, and then.
I'm gonna beat his ass. I'm gonna beat his ass.
So I was complaining about the price of Delta being like 80, 90 bucks depending on where you are. And this guy was like, "Oh no, Thetas are just no prices." I don't know what Delta and Theta is. Brainwaves? Just normal.
Whoa,
oh my god!
Well,
I saw. I noticed. No price games having been 60 to 70 for ages. So I was like, okay, this guy's on crack. I just got Stalker 2 for 55 anyways. When Nintendo announced the Switch 2 prices, I was like, hey, bro, you must be excited. You have to pay 90 for Mario. That would be kind of dead paying 90 for Mario.
All right, I'm going to win this time. I'm going this time.
Are you? Do you promise?
I'm going to win this time. I'm punching the dick.
Is that all you got?
Okay, well.
I'll cover you.
I get my spacing. I didn't realize this game was a fight again.
Back up a little bit.
You know what to do. You know, a real mom. I'm gonna kick you in the dick. Pop, 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 pop.
MGS Delta. Oh, okay, okay. See, I needed that. There's a lot of MGS Delta. Okay, I got you. I got you. Oh, I can't. Okay, now I can. Got it. Wait, Delta's gonna be 80 or 90? That's too much for Delta. The standard's 70. I'll give you 70 for Delta, unless it's like for a collector's edition. Then I guess, but I mean, they're gonna fail. I'm gonna wait for a fucking sale. I'm not paying 80 bucks. Alright, back up. Oh, or do your thing. Yeah.
Fuck off!
Fuck off! Oh, nice. You got him. Did we do that at the same time?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
I'm
Fuck off.
very excited for Amazon's Delta.
No, I am. Are you 80 or 90 bucks excited? Yeah, $70 right, but with the exchange rate, it's more like 90. Oh, in the UK. And if you're in Poland, it's 120. Oh my god.
Where's that inferior UK
I keep
money?
forgetting Ninja Dog's. He's a Brit.
A red coat, dirty red coat.
Oh man, that sucks. Well, for me it's 70. Also, I don't know the exchange rate either. Is it same? But no, I'm pretty stoked for Delta. I keep forgetting you're not here. You're not.
There's gotta be a way to move shit in and out.
You're not in the best country in the world. Sorry, buddy.
Jake,
Clearly, the best country is Australia. No, I'm trying to think of something random. I don't know. Somebody wearing a red coat in here? No! Rooster, no. Heel boy! Down boy! I'm like yank on the leash. No! Rooster, you were gone. Alright, no, you said you're in bed. Just
Yeah, there's no goddamn steering.
You just heard red coat. He just got activated. Like
he's like a fucking Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
Like fucking Bucky.
Christ almighty! What does it take to lose this guy?
come on. We have to move further up.
Oh, now your fucking bird arms work.
Keep going.
I'm winning this race.
Bullshit.
I'm ahead of you. No, I think we're tied actually.
Jake, up ahead.
My arms are longer.
Let's cut it loose!
Press and V.
I got it first.
Take that, asshole!
Oh yeah. Come on. I jerk off more than you.
Oh shit.
Definitely gonna win this. My right arm is way stronger than yours. I got it first.
Damn it, you did. Hold on. They're doing the thing.
There's no way it's hard to flick that bean and then it jerks off this back.
I think Ninja Dog and Rooster, they're doing it. Hold on.
One more for you, sack of
This guy won't fucking die.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Come on! Come on!
Well, what are we waiting for?
Give it to me! Give me the gun! Fuck you! I definitely got that first.
I'm the daddy.
You know, fucking way, you little bird. I was
You
gonna
gotta
handle that
take
gun.
this from me. Suck my dick. Alright, hold on. I think they're being political over here. If USA wants to annex England and dispose the tyrannical government, you will see no resistance from me. I wouldn't mind having some rights back. Welcome to the Union, brother. Duke is the perfect way to get to the heart of any true American. Joe's gonna think I'm being mean, but actually we're cool. Oh, that's good. No, I was worried you were gonna be mean. I didn't think you were gonna be mean.
Don't worry, Sherry.
I have a track record with light trolling of Europeans. Yeah, you do. Oh, Sherry?
You know that. I meant to say Sherry.
He says Sherry. You think about my pussy? You got my pussy on your mind?
Sherry. I know you couldn't fire that Magnum on your own. I get it. Your little twig arms.
Now kiss. Oh shit. We're gonna have
This whole sequence is a euphemism for coming.
Right? That's how you end your fucking campaign? Light trolling. I'm not even on the right continent to be considered European. Where are you based, Ninja Dog? If you don't mind answering that. Can we skip this? I think we're stuck. That was fun. I think I like Chris's campaign more than Sherry and Jake. Even though I think you said you were really digging Jake's combat, right?
Yeah, I like Chris and
Pierce.
I like Chris and Pierce more for sure. This way his is. Pierce's rifle is way better than.
The fucking rifle.
Pierce is just overpowered as fuck.
He really is, dude. I remember you being like legit butthurt. I didn't have the same rifle you did.
I think it was ridiculous. Like, I don't know how you give one character in the game a gun like that.
And you know what's funny? We were playing Jake and Sherry, and you're like, he still got the fucking OP rifle. And you pointed out he was using it when he was just an NPC, right?
Yeah, he was using it in like that fight in the city. He was one-shotting everything.
Well, GG.
Like this fucking anime-ass outro music.
The wind is pushing me into the current again. I feel my body moving, riding into free. I feel like letting go. I am the damn guy.
What the fuck do you remember all these goddamn lyrics?
I don't know. It's like embedded in my brain somewhere. That song fucks
Have
though.
you even played that game?
No. You know what's funny?
That's ridiculous. I played the game twice and I don't remember the lyrics of that song.
Even the I think the re-release is based on Dark Arisen, right? Is that what it's called? So that one doesn't have the cool intro. It doesn't have the cool intro.
Yeah, they got rid of it. I think the rights.
Flying, flying into free. Did you show me that? And if I could choose my own anime intro, that song is like an actual contender. That song fucking slaps.
It's really good.
I would have no clue if you didn't tell me about it, to be honest. Snake Eater. Oh shit, wait. Oh shit.
Snake Eater.
What a thrill. With darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'm melting to you.
For you.
What a fear in my heart. But you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream. Snake Eater.
Where's the tree frog?
Some days you go through the rain. Someday you feed on a tree frog. It's ordeal, the trial to survive. For the day we see new life. My life. She put some stank on it right there. Not for honor, but for
an
you.
insane voice. Before I got
That is objectively
COVID, I could have hit that note.
the greatest video game song of all time. Fucking Rooster, he's like, I've become a victim of my own troll. Yeah, I never claimed I could sing. Oh, fucking Angel's holding her ladder up. Nice. Angel knows what's up.
pre-COVID
I'm
bronchitis.
still in a dream. Snake eater. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. I'm still in a dream. Snake eater. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Snake eater. You gotta whisper it at the end.
We should just do a karaoke stream.
Dude, I was
our
drunk as
favorite
shit,
fucking-
but last time I went to karaoke, I sang that. I sang Snake Eater.
You went to karaoke without me, you fucking piece of shit? I'm gonna fucking kill you.
No, it was just once. I even told him, I was like, I'll go. I don't really do karaoke. And then we were at this place. It's like literally 2 minutes from me. And then I got drunk.
There's a fucking karaoke place 2 minutes from you, and you haven't taken me there, you piece of shit.
It's kind of new,
I'm gonna
but it's like it's not like because I think the last time we did
karaoke.
karaoke, it was over at the E String, right? Where it's like a big lounge.
So open?
It's
I went there before I fucking enlisted in the army.
It's the Gambit now. It's a new place. I think they might still do the karaoke, but I don't know for sure. But there's this place right here, but it's one of those places where it's like you get your private room. Is that better for you?
Fucking arm bar. I'm gonna break your fucking shoulder.
Wait, what? Say it again.
So I'm gonna put you in an arm bar. I'm gonna break your shoulder.
Because I got roped into karaoke without you.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
The address was so perfectly timed. I thought for sure I wouldn't come back, and he would still be singing "Silly Me." Lemon Wedges, we can share a room, right? Nice. Rooster's asking if you can share a room with him.
I fucking hate you.
Stop it.
I want to share a room with you with the last person on earth, you fucking piece of shit.
See, our banter...
I'm uninstalling Ready or Not right now.
Be nice. That's funny. Will you resell it when I get it and just not play with him?
Yeah, I'm gonna...
Fuck you, Joey. Fuck you, Bloody. How you doing, man? Fuck you, Bloody. Bloody, fuck you. Happy birthday, dude. No, oh shit, not yet.
Hey, Frank, we're going to the E String tomorrow night. That's part of your birthday.
No, there's a place closer.
Bar.
There's a place way closer.
You have to do karaoke tomorrow night.
Lamafio, no, we're past the hate arc. We're love arc now. GG, y'all. Thanks, Angel. Well, we did this one happy birthday. Yeah, it's early, though. I'll do karaoke. E String,
yeah,
that's so far from player one. Yeah, no, we're not doing it over there.
Why not?
Because it's far, dude. We're going to player one tomorrow.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Not for me. It's not for me either, unless I'm like trashed. If I'm like blackout, then I'll do karaoke.
Oh, come on.
I'm shy.
If it's fucking has private rooms, who gives a fuck?
Private rooms are a maybe. Lemon, download Steel Hunters, bish.
I don't know if I even have fucking hard drive space, honestly. So many fucking
Joey,
games.
don't be shy. Your mother wasn't. Oh, nice. It's 30 gigabytes. So help me God. So help me Rooster
Dude, I
God.
almost couldn't even install fucking the new Emma Frost up.
Bruh. Fucking jiggle,
100%
jiggle, dude.
Fucking guys, you know I had to delete some shit.
Bigger.
I deleted Ready or Not just to get that.
That's fine. Did you really delete it? As the Lord, baby Jesus, has been witness, if this man starts another game before we finish, Ready or Not, I will actually spontaneously combust.
Oh well, shit. Let me just install that shit
Install
right now.
FAP uninstall. Simple. Hey, he's got a point. He's got a point. Did you want to start the next campaign, or are you calling it here?
What time is it?
It is 11:30 for me.
12:30.
It's still early, is what you said?
I said 11:30.
It's 11:33 for me.
No, hang on. No,
Hold on, I can't hear over this fucking music.
Slap out of the fucking anime, basically.
We sang through it all. We sang Snake Eater through all of the fucking song.
Right.
What a thrill.
Poor little boomer. Emma Frost is gonna get insta-locked.
With darkness and silence through the night.
I can just play healer and fucking
Gooner.
pocket heal.
Locked around Vaughn's face.
as Rocket.
Oh shit, we got post credit. Jake Mercer will return in the Avengers.
Scott gets it. Locked around my face.
Leading researchers, along with 6 months
I'm gonna pocket heal Emma and nobody else.
With the data now in the right hands, things seem to be finally settling down.
I am the target audience.
Sherry low-key kind of looks like Irving from RE5 a little bit.
BSAA officials classified his
You know that it doesn't matter. He's still screwed. You remember that guy that turns into a fish? She kind of looks like him.
Yeah.
She looks like him. Or Derpy Wesker. Have you guys seen Derpy Wesker? It's the best.
I haven't.
No? Okay. I'm pretty sure if you just Google Derpy Wesker, you'll find it. Somebody took like Irving's face, like they pretty much like full retarded Wesker, and it looks amazing in RE5. It's a mod. LMAO. Oh shit, I've seen this. This is where Nick Fury comes in. It's time to be part of S.H.I.E.L.D. LOL, of course. Derpy Wesker.
Yeah, if you want to be healed, best not play with me for about a month or so. Pocket healing Emma. Those rockets, I'll get that nice.
Just add a
soft.
A bitch.
Overrated.
Hey, what up, Monkey King?
Pretty boy. A bitch.
That's how I feel about Lemon. The Avengers, welcome to Raccoon City. Yo, yeah, what up, Monkey King? How you doing? Resident Evil, giraffe getting head. Complete chapter 5 in Jake's campaign. I'm doing all right. How are you? I'm doing pretty all right myself. My accuracy is worse than Lemon's, which is annoying. And I play with a mouse.
And you want to fucking a mouse, dude.
Yeah, that hurts. That stings. I felt that one. Did you want to keep playing?
I can keep playing.
Yeah. Did you say you want to play Ada next and save Leon for last?
Who's next? Which campaigns do we have left?
2. We have Ada, and we have Leon and Helena.
Ada and Ada?
Ada.
There's 2 Adas?
No, well, technically there are, but Ada plays by herself on solo, and then you play as just fucking like soldier number 15 in co-op.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Ada campaign is like a DLC campaign, isn't it?
No, originally you unlocked the Ada campaign by beating the original 3. But ever since the re-releases, they've just been like, here's Ada.
Is it good?
I thought it was pretty alright. I played it once on the Xbox 360. You wanna play it?
Yeah.
Because I just remember you saying that you wanted to save Leon for last.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll play. You can play Ada.
Okay, is it New Game Plus?
I'll be the random soldier.
Okay, all right, bet, and I'll invite you. Doing normal screen modes is that
All
one.
the good guns.
You look cool. You look like we have Hunk at home.
Right.
Private country. Yeah. Start game, and I'll invite you. Boom. And this is where it all makes sense. This is where we find out Homeboy was just simping. The Ada that we've been seeing ain't the real Ada.
Failed to join game session.
I'll try it again. Oh, Geodude. I'm a Geodude. Well, spoil it, why don't you? LOL. Wait, Angel, did you not know that? Oops. Oops. My bad.
Boy, for a fucking 10-year-old game, sorry.
This is like a 13-year-old? This came out 2012, I want to say. Ada is waifu. I like remake Ada. I knew that, but I'm saying, what if someone else didn't?
I've seen some incredible R34 beta.
Oops. I'm a little baby. I can't. I remember this one had like a lot more titties. Vaughn gets it.
Damn.
I forgot what I was thinking. What was I talking about?
I don't know. I was thinking of the incredible fan animations of Ada
On the hub.
On the hub.
Hubba hubba. Same. The phone?
Simmons.
At what point is it just overkill?
Not long enough.
It's like, alright guys, it's a hologram cube with a video display. Just give me a fucking screen, dude. You're
Right. Like, what time
you're
is this?
you're arguably degraded now. Just give me a screen.
Like, how much time has passed between this game and like the first game?
The first one takes place in like 98. This one, I'm pretty sure it takes place in like 2012 or something. Let me see.
Not in the slightest.
They already got fucking hollow cubes.
Hold on. When does RE6 take place? It takes place in 2013, and the whole Finn bullshit takes place in 2012.
I'm just here to find out what you're up to.
Dude couldn't get over Ada, but can you blame him? Ada could pull my spine out my mouth, and I'd be like, "It's okay, accidents happen." Nah, cubes fit great in your pocket. Even better up my ass. Nice.
You're not playing.
Imagine getting
around,
stuck
are
up there. Guilty. That's me during jury duty. I was like, kill him.
Guilty.
Sentence, death.
you? All right, Simmons. Let's
50
see.
years in the ISO cubes. Huh?
For like a traffic ticket.
No, he rear-ended somebody. I could talk about it now.
So a traffic ticket.
Well, he caused an injury.
Oh shit. Damn, I look cool as fuck.
I want to
Like a
use my
random
controller. Let me try it again.
Dude,
Let me
I
try
look cool. I look cool as shit for like a random ass.
Let me try it one more time.
Shoulder. Got a cool
Fucking-
ass gas mask.
Yeah, I feel like I have to restart my fucking game to.
I got the
control
fucking
it,
high
man.
cut helmet with the fucking ear pro. I'm like a fucking spec ops, dude.
You do look pretty cool. You look like a helldiver. That is
Right?
cape. Is this a sub? Yeah, this is a sub. Wait, is it working? Sorry, I heard the boop boop noise. I thought maybe I could use my controller. Nope, still trapped with the mouse and keyboard. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You look like Scuba Steve, dude. Calm down. No, Scuba Steve's red.
You don't even fucking remember what the fuck Stupid Skeeb looks like.
Nice. Good mission right here. Oh, nice. Scott knows. Oh, I think I can melee him. Oh, or you can.
I got him.
Bitch.
Too slow, bitch. I'm just gonna hang out behind you. Damn. Can you do that to me next?
You're like, me.
Yeah. I'm switching sides. I'm switching sides. Ladies first. Damn.
Although there's a few points in this mission where I'm like, who the
Don't
fuck
take
designed
too
this
long.
sub? I believe it. It's a good sound.
I don't know if I can concentrate on shooting the enemies. Oh fuck. Survived.
Oh, can you now?
Yep. I can now. How come you get an assault rifle and I get a pistol?
I have a fucking crossbow. What are you talking about?
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Give my hand to me right now. Reload faster, bitch! I'm gonna die. Ah.
Oh my god, we're getting shot from every fucking direction right now.
Yeah, we are.
What the fuck is this? This is ridiculous. Okay. I think we're both done.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, I got you.
Thanks, babe.
Don't worry, little bitch. I got you.
Reloading.
Okay.
That escalated quickly.
Jesus Christ.
What the fuck
fucking,
happened?
Like, machine guns on one side and like boss monsters on
Do
the
I have
other.
any other fucking weapon? Let me see. Okay, actually I do. Okay, hold on. All right, let's do that again with
I'm
better.
gonna get like fucking like 2 mags.
I'm literally fucking. Oh wait. Would it be Y? I think I can.
Do you have like alternate ammo?
I do, but it doesn't tell me like it tells you. I have to like guess my fucking inputs. You, it says Y. For me, I'm like, is it E? It was E. You know what I mean?
I suppose I could go introduce myself, but I don't want to fall behind schedule.
Fine, let me do that to you.
Damn, do it.
Please, 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 please.
Please, mommy. Yes, mommy. If I could sneak attack the guys up in front of us.
Protect you, mistress.
Oh shit, that's right. Mine explode. Be careful.
Reloading.
Oh shit. Am I down? All right. I'll come back for you. Oh shit, we're getting flanked.
What do I fucking do to these things?
Come back. I can't protect you.
Think I got him?
Uh-oh.
Healing. Where
we going? We fucked up.
Reloading. Reloading.
Oh shit.
Reloading. Yo, there's so many of these motherfuckers. Reloading. I'm out of ammo.
Oh shit, me too. Oh shit, me too.
Run to the door, run to the door, run to the door. What do we do? I found a hole.
Press the run button.
Yeah, I found a hole.
Press the run button. You're fucking going too slow. I'm still getting shot at, bitch. Go. You can sprint. No, you can dash while you're doing that, by the way.
Oh fuck. I found ammo. You kill him? Oh nice.
I got one of them, yeah.
Found a grenade.
That got rough really fast. Whee!
Oh, okay. I just teleported over here. There's
Is that
ammo
what
down there.
happened?
God damn it.
Oh, where? Okay, let's go. Oh, fuck. I didn't expect that. Well, my bad.
This must be the new breed I've been
Bitch.
hearing about.
Off to get Amanda later. All right, later, Cyber. Off to bed. Peace out, Paul. Thank you for you guys for hanging out.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Sweet. Sweet.
Who did that? Thanks, Paul.
I don't have cool combos like the main characters. Oh, okay. He just exploded. Did you do that?
No.
Thanks, mommy.
Good boy.
Okay, there's a lot of enemies over there. And,
How many's a
I have,
lot?
like 5 shots.
Hold on. Oh shit!
Yeah, that many.
2. Fuck! I can't take it. Oh, there's I see 2.
Grenade out! I think I got him. He's a machine gun, dude.
How do I take cover here? How do I take cover?
Left trigger? Okay, well, he transformed.
Here, I can get him with an explosive.
Do it!
Yeah, I'm reloading.
And he stuck me with webs or some shit.
Back up. Get away from him. He's gonna explode. Get away from him.
Do here?
Get away from him.
Oh my god.
I can shoot him. Oh, that killed it. The fuck is this?
Did I step on this guy?
Yeah, dude, do it.
I couldn't.
You act like you haven't played this game yet.
Well, I think we need the option. I think because I'm bleeding out.
Thanks for all making me feel welcome back, by the way, guys. Love you. Oh, no, dude, no problem. Thanks for being back. I'm glad you're streaming again. I make no exaggeration when I say we fucking missed you, dude.
Why the fuck am I like a Spec Ops operator and not pistol?
I don't know. Over here, though. Is there anything cool?
How the fuck did you get in there? Were we supposed to sneak in there the whole time?
Probably.
God, we are fucking retarded.
Yeah, have a good one, Rooster. I love you, dude. We'll play Schedule 1 on Sunday. I have time around 2:30. Like, we're probably supposed to be stealthing, but like, it's hard with 2 people. Look at that. Already fucked up.
It's a box. Nope.
Oh shit. I have to reload.
Captain? Look at that. It's over here. I can hop over this.
Was that you? Oh, there's you. They were an enemy. You scared me.
You can choke slam me with your thighs anytime.
It's not disturbing with you, miss.
I found ammo.
Really? Nice. I'll probably call it after this chapter, though.
Sure.
Oh, but that was it. Oh no, I got more. Not much more. Oh my god, they're being stingy with the ammo here.
Oops.
Oh, good. There's a Michael Jackson mod for this with voice lines. Oh really?
Ooh, don't go too quick.
Here.
No need to sprint now. Just take your time.
How's that?
Pretty good. Pretty good. That's good. Take your time now.
Wait, hold on, not yet. Oh. Oh, hold on.
Almost there.
Just wait.
Wait for me, I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm so close.
Gross. Wait, you haven't. Oh, you have to like switch to the knife though now, right? Or you have a knife? Yeah, brick all this.
Yeah, I do have a knife.
I don't have a knife.
Stupid bitch.
Don't bitch didn't bring a knife. Wouldn't be me.
It's locked. This is going to require.
Yeah, this is a puzzle. With our
puzzles.
With our whiskey minds combined, we got this.
Yeah. The combined total of 100 IQ.
Together, we're average.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about IQ. It's not even letting me like interact with these. Clearly, there's something to do. we go.
Oh, okay. Just shut both of us. What the fuck is this thing? It's like a puzzle or something. You have to make like some kind of.
It is, but look at these dials. Like, there's like one right here. There's one over there. But like, I don't have the button to interact with it. It's not letting me. So what do?
I'm not getting anything either.
Do you want to know the definition of insanity? Here we go. There's something right here. What do we got? What do we got? We're looking through.
The view's blocked.
All right, we got to push the want the mousey. Oh, sorry, Audie. Can we push this motherfucker? We can.
Maybe I should have played it along. That way the
all the what?
All of you could have seen what I'm seeing.
Okay. All right. What does this mean? Look, are you looking at my screen?
Nope.
There's a snake. There's a snake in my boot. You can probably see through here like I just did.
Ooh.
Let me see what we got. R. Oh yeah, we're switching it to snake. I'm a snake.
Okay, well, none of those panels don't match at all.
I'll do it for you then. Don't worry, Vaughn. I got it. Turning this motherfucker into a snake.
I told you what it was looking like.
Huh?
I could tell you when it's matched up. Supposed to look like a snake?
Yeah. Pink. Looks like a snake to
like
me.
it right there. Leave it.
Oh, I'm looking through the thing again.
Try that. It's a complete image.
You're blocking the fucking path. Move. You're blocking.
I'm not moving.
Look at my stream, dude. You're in the way.
Well, I'm not right now.
Okay, you weren't, but yeah, if you looked at my stream, you're blocking the thing. Cause like on the opposite wall, like on the other side of the wall you were just standing by, I'm looking through like a little viewfinder. That was pretty funny though, dude.
Why'd you change it? It's a complete image, right? It's like an eel or some shit.
No. Now we gotta change this bottom one. It's right here. Stop bitching. Vaughn, you're drunk. Go home.
You're drunk, go home.
Really? Would a drunk person do this?
Well, that was a pain in the ass.
Well, it's a good thing you got a lot of ass to go around.
Bleh. Wait, who shot? Oh, wait, who shot it? Oh.
I'm guessing teamwork isn't a
Are we
strong
running?
point around here.
Or is that on our side? I don't know what's happening. Is it helping us?
I don't know. I'm just a grunt. I don't know things. How do you get a machine gun?
Uh-oh.
Offing your own crew's gotta be bad for morale.
What do we do? I guess I could run through there. I don't know what to do. You stupid bitch! What up, Vaughn?
Did you fuck with me?
What up, Frank? I'm running for it. Fuck you! We did it. Okay. I was scared. I was so scared. GG's. Good night. Oh, peace out. Peace out, buddy. See you tomorrow, dude.
See you, Frank. See you tomorrow.
Wonder what else he has on file besides my prints.
Oh, okay.
Probably your cup size, app results, good old-fashioned DNA. Let me
This herb with this herb. And
yeah,
this herb with this
same.
herb.
I hate these controls with mouse and keyboard. This is nuts, dude. Like, I really want you to try playing with mouse and keyboard so you can see this bullshit right here.
My dearest Ada Wong. Jake Mueller has been located in the Republic of Edonia. Your mission is to find out if his body has antibodies to the C virus. We cannot allow a vaccine to be produced.
Why not?
Agent Birkin will be sent in to acquire the target. Your job is to ensure they escape the country alive. Good luck.
I said, oh my fucking god, it's about what?
That can't be right. I don't remember those orders.
I'm back, bitches. Hey, what up, Jay?
Someone else.
Get through the submarine. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Rats! Oh shit, right in front of me.
Ow, fuck, ow, what are you? Frag out!
Oh really? Nice, dude. Why am I almost out of ammo? E.
This is the most I've ever used frags in this game.
Oh shit. Uh-oh! Hold on, they coming! What up, Jay? How's work?
We're taking your money! How many are over there?
2.
Right. Oh, yeah, on the flag.
Nice. Oh, you got both, I think. Good job, Vaughn.
Good job, baby boy.
Good job. You're doing great.
Good boy. Oh shit, he's going crazy. He's going freak mode.
That boy got slave feet. Oh, fucker. Nice, dude. Walking around listening to IT. Gross. Oh, It, the novel, I'm assuming, right? You've been on a Stephen King kick, haven't you? Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Shut the fuck up. You're funny.
Sorry, boys, no time. My dance card's already full.
The fuck is going on in here? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. The fuck is happening?
Are you excited to get to the sewer scene?
Okay, well, the turrets are shooting those guys.
My job a little easier.
Oh, a bunch of boxes.
Can we kill those?
Do we need to?
Yeah, I'd rather not, to be honest.
We just stay out of the way. I don't know
what? Have you read it before, Jay? Do you know? I was trying to be gross, but I feel bad now. Oh shit.
Oh god. Ow. Fuck him up, turrets! Fuck him up! I'm running.
No? Oh shit! Jay don't know! Well, you'll get it. I'm excited for you. Uh-oh.
What just happened? Oh. Running past the turrets.
Oh shit. How you doing?
What are you
over there?
aiming at?
Nothing. There's nothing here to shoot.
There's a guy up on a fucking ledge over there.
Where?
The direction the turret was facing when you got on it.
I don't see anybody up there, dude. Oh, you got him? Oh, that's
fucking
fine.
looking at a wall on my screen.
Well, I mean, it only faces this direction. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there was a guy in that direction.
Well, you got him, so he's gone. So good shit.
It's expended some of my valuable ammunition.
You didn't have to.
Well, you couldn't fucking see the guy.
I didn't see anybody, to be honest. I legit didn't see anybody up there.
I clean your glasses?
Orders from half a year ago. Maybe he's trying to.
I mean, maybe if you weren't wasting your fucking ammo, I would have been able to get him with the turret. Or, you know, God forbid you hit the turret first.
Well, I waste my ammo because
why didn't you use the fucking turret then, huh? Why didn't you get on the turret? You know where he fucking is.
Because you fucking got on it, your fat ass.
Yeah, she do. God damn, dude. The mouse and keyboard controls suck for this game. Whatever fucking monkey decided that this is the route to go. Fuck you.
Fucking ching-chongs.
Stop it!
It's been like at least an hour.
Your stream, sure, not mine.
We got like a free slur or two every hour. Damn, goddamn. Hold the fuck out.
Haha. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, he's freaking out. Uh-oh. That was a very satisfying... It's like, if you don't like just fucking just straight up jib, then just having like a cartoon, like just a little pop like that is also nice.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this looks... Okay, okay, okay. Ow. Shooting at me.
I don't
Where
know.
the fuck over there?
Wait until you get to that part. Whoop, wait.
I got him.
Okay, wait until you get to that part. Oh, I saw an interesting video of Ava on the hub. What part? I played this before. Oh, that's funny. No, yeah, I'll get to there. I'll get there. I got you. Just keep watching. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jesus. What the fuck
man.
do you do, bitch?
Sorry, I'm just a girl.
We get on here?
Whee! You're teleporting, baby.
The hull has been compromised. Prepare to evacuate immediately.
This is very clearly designed like a one-player level.
You can tell, yeah. Just nothing over here? Fine. Oh shit, what box? Ammo!
This sub isn't going to last much longer.
Oh shit. We have Modern Warfare at home.
Right.
Modern Warfare 1 or 2? It's 1, right? That has the boat sinking sequence?
It's Modern Warfare 1, yeah.
Yeah. That's like early. That's like the first fucking part of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the intro level.
I like you're just along for the ride.
Yeah. Don't worry, I'm right behind you.
Also, are you glad you picked him?
Yeah.
Really?
Very good. Oh yeah.
Because the view or because he just looks cool?
Oh, definitely because it looks cool. Definitely because it looks cool, for sure.
You do look pretty cool, like. That's pretty cool. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, and it could be, I think I remember her campaign being a little shorter. Because it was like an epilogue almost initially, you know?
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
the original 3, and then she was unlockable.
Yeah, this already feels like a fucking. This feels like a fucking.
I think
part of the level already.
I think there's more. If I'm not like, I'm pretty sure you get to play as like her throughout the other campaigns, you know? Like you'll see what she was up to during Leon's and Sherry's and all that shit. It's pressing space to crawl. Huh? Can I crawl faster?
Don't crawl too fast, mommy. Don't crawl too fast now. Take your time. Take your time. If I die now, I can die happy.
Oh, it's a stamina thing, and I'm like spamming it. I didn't know this was tied to my stamina. Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh,
okay.
What the fuck?
I just fucking disappeared.
So much for the rescue sub. Time for plan B.
He knows all about plan B.
Only way to go is up. The torpedo control should be up ahead.
How do I get up there, though? Oh, boy. Games with me. Oh, ladder? Oh, ladder. Okay, I didn't see it. I didn't notice. Is that not loud enough, Jay? Yep. God damn it. It's like Halo 2 Legendary Co-op. I couldn't hear it. Sorry.
Random Soldier 300.
It's
no.
I know. I think I know how to fix it. I think I need to render it louder on my end. Sorry, Jay. I don't know how to refund you 200. And all my best mods. Actually, Audie, are you here? Do you know how to do it?
The water's coming in fast. You better hurry.
Because I can hear it, but I think it was still too quiet. I have 80k fine.
Oh shit, I went the wrong way. What do?
What do?
There's gotta be a shot around here somewhere.
No! Oh, I found it.
Nice. Do it. Do it.
I don't know what I'm doing. Supposed to do. What do I do?
Finish the race, of course.
Okay, oh my God. To do it. Okay, back the other way.
Oh, it's echoing. Oh my god, Jay spamming it. Nice. Is this my first spam? Nice. Nice, Jay. That sounds terrible. That is awful. Fuck. All my best mods are gone. Nice. We deserve that. I deserve it.
Damn, my head was in your asshole, bro.
Very nice. Very nice. Lucky. Okay, now we decide to do fixed camera angles. Fuck off. I broke it. LOL. Did you really? Wait, did you really break it? Or is there I didn't how would you break that? I didn't know that was possible.
I was getting 51 frames on this fucking like 10-year-old game.
Just 8,000 more times. I fucking love Persona 4. Look at your Steam. Oh shit, he did break it. Wow, hold on. I can fix that. Hold on. Okay. Fuck. I have to fuck. Hold on, let me fix it. I don't know how to fix that. Hang on 1 second. It would be under mix it up, properties, refresh cache? Okay, alright. That was weird. Okay, alright, we're good, we're good. We're back in business. Alright, move. Move your fat ass.
Damn it. So what I'm like it.
Fuck. Oh. Oh, nice.
Where the fuck do we go? Okay.
Not the base! Not the base! Oh wait, I'm down. Right in the boob. Best Persona 10 out of 10. I still can't pick which one I like more.
Because you move respectfully.
A2! Oh, up the ladder, I guess, yeah. Persona 4 Golden, the best Persona. I really liked, cause like I said, my first one was 3 Portable. And then I played Fest after that, which was also nice. There are some things that Portable does that Fest doesn't. That annoys me, and vice versa. What I hope is... Hey, Jay, do you know if the reload version lets you control the AI characters? Or if they're still up to the AI? Chie, best girl? You like Chie? Chie was fun. Chie annoyed me, but she grew on me. I think you're going the right way, dude. Just keep doing what you're doing. You are, dude.
Oh shit, we got underwater section?
Okay, good. Because that was the one thing I liked about Portable that wasn't in the PS2 version.
You press A to perform stroke. Gotcha.
Well, to mash A when I turn 38, so I can have a stroke and die. That's all I'm
out.
Let me hold A. That's good to know, Jay. Thank you for looking. Or if you already knew that, but thank you. And then I know there's DLC, which is basically the answer. But I didn't like the answer. The answer sucks. I kind of like not controlling them. See, I liked controlling them. Wait, where do we go? Oh, we go back in?
I went into like a fucking water.
Okay. I was like having a car. The character.
I'm just fucking running around blindly.
Yeah, you are. Sorry, Jay, I can't read right now. Give them more character. I see what you mean. So you played PS2 and did you play Portable also? Because I played Portable first and then I played Fest, and I kind of wish I played Fest first because I think it'd be cool to like. Oh shit, I'm out of ammo.
The base!
Coming. It'd be cool to play the female protag just to see what's different. Wait, help me out now. Come back. But I know what you mean. Thank you. I'll go this way, dude. This way.
I went back to where I came.
Press the fucking right bumper. Left bumper. One of those. I'll tell you where to go.
That's cheating.
It's literally what the game tells you to do. Vaughn sucks ass. Yeah, he does. He also eats ass. And then he smells like ass, and...
He wants ass. Like right now.
Tell him to get good.
I'm all up in that ass.
Okay.
Jay says to get good.
Back.
Collapse at 2,500 feet.
Hit the queen.
Initiating verbal identification. Answer all questions.
Oh boy. Hold on. Cover me! Cover me!
I'm a little busy right now. Try back.
Fuck. Oh shit, where's the B?
Oi.
I'll bite. Data
Authorization approved.
Are you doing something?
Yeah, I am. I'll try to cover you as best I can too. Nice.
Interesting story. I want to do some fact checking now. I don't work for Simmons.
What's happening?
I've got nothing to atone
I don't know.
We have to go. You have to activate the thing. I guess.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Oh fuck! I didn't mean to go over him. Not the bees! Not the bees!
Oh god.
I see why you like playing with him. He makes you look like good at video games. Fuck you. Oh, I'm down, dude.
Yeah, me too.
Oh shit. Jay says he sees why I like playing video games with you. He makes me look like I'm good at video games. All right, I'll try this again, but better. You do the same, okay? That was a good burn, though. I like it.
Okay, power's back.
All right.
He plays Halo with a fucking mouse and keyboard. He doesn't have any stop.
Are you guys gonna start this mouse and keyboard argument again for Halo? That was you and two. That was you two, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little busy right now. Try back.
Please state your name.
Oh shit! Wrong button. Wrong button. Wrong button. I put C instead of V.
Can I just like stay down there and fight off the guy while I use a computer or something?
Sure. Just cover me if you can, because I might get flanked. I mean, I'll try to shoot as I can too.
6 months ago, you performed experiments on.
Fact, there's skill points in there I want to pick up.
Following Simmons' orders, but it was your choice to do so. How do you plan to atone for your crimes?
Interesting story. Might want to do some fact checking though. I don't work for Simmons. I've got nothing to atone for.
Answer all questions into the microphone.
I've no intention of paying for any crimes I'm not guilty of.
Authorization approved.
Got the
Good
bees?
ammo.
I don't know what the fuck we're supposed to do about the bees.
Everything. I know what it is you're looking for. A world of chaos. Am I right?
Shit.
If you know me so well, you shouldn't need validation. A world of chaos? Not number one on my list. But it would make Simmons squirm. So I might reconsider.
I want Ada to make me squirm.
Authorization approved. Perfect answer.
Oh fuck.
The final question. Are you ready?
God damn.
I got one more. One more.
Hold that thought. It's my turn. Who are you?
Authorization approved.
Nice.
I have no obligation to answer you. My final question.
Alright, I'm coming.
What are you fighting?
What are we fighting for?
Whatever the hell gets in my way. And the virus always seems to be the candidate.
I like your answer.
verification complete. Simmons is waiting for you. I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds.
Bet.
Authorization complete.
All right, get up here, Vaughn.
Releasing locks now.
Come up here.
That's over.
My hair is insane right now. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I'm not even there. Just let me.
Find anything interesting?
A recording from 6 months ago.
Then the trip was worthwhile. What's the matter? You still haven't figured it out. Allow me to clarify. Tomorrow the U.S. will suffer a bioterrorist attack. After that, China, and then major cities all
And then the world.
the same fate. At the hand
It's just a random fucking keyboard sticking out of the wall and this fucking.
Ada Wong.
If you think I'm going to sit back and be your scapegoat, Simmons, you've got another thing coming.
What about me? Wait for me, mommy.
There's enough room in there for two.
Mommy, don't leave me.
Mommy uppies.
I'll let you sit on my face for as long as you want.
Alright, so
Glad we did that one first.
what's that?
I'm glad we did that one first.
What do you mean?
Before the Leon missions.
yeah. Why? Just having fun with it, or?
It's just fucking short and lame.
Well, I don't think we're done. That was chapter 1.
Really?
Yeah, there's more. We're not done.
Oh, well.
You ain't done, boy?
Seemed very definitive.
No. I can look at how many chapters we have, but I think I'm gonna call it here if you're cool with that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. You said the middle of the week is hard, but you might be able to do some Thursdays and most Fridays, right?
Well, probably not Thursdays right now because we're behind on our production schedule. So I'm probably gonna be working overtime the next couple weeks at least.
So Fridays only?
Yeah, Fridays and Saturdays.
Fine. Oh, Saturdays? Oh, well, I can't. No, I'm pretty busy this Saturday. Maybe next Friday, next Saturday, if you're cool with that.
Busy on some days too, huh? Damn.
I have a busy weekend. I don't know.
I have a busy work week.
Kind of a big deal. Everybody's like demanding my time now.
Well, fucking my job's demanding my time, so fuck you.
All right, let me quit this and I'll raid out. What are you gonna do? You call in tonight? Actually, wait. Let me get back in there and save it. I don't know if it saves now or later. Quit. Okay. Oops. Did you quit? All right. Then is it gonna start? Because I'll stop it in the middle. Oops. I said quit game.
It'll start the next mission.
Oh. This is actually the one part of the Leon campaign I actually don't like.
Can't believe he went through with
Oh, nice. We're here. Oh wait, is it just me? Oh, you already left, huh?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Well, I'm quitting. Okay. That's
Let me
fine.
go first.
Oh.
Ah, shit. Oh well, not a big deal.
All right, and then I'll let me raid out. Let me step into my office. Oops, I hit the wrong. I hit airing soon. My bad. Here we go. Quick game. See. I think I fucked up my own. Okay. Who's live right now?
Charlie was playing Bongo Cat. What the fuck?
Oh yeah, dude, look it up. It's so fun. It's just literally Bongo Cat in like the corner of your screen, and it's like a keyboard counter. Like as you type, you know, it keeps track, and you unlock bows and yarn.
Okay.
I don't know. It's fun. I'll be working. I'll look over. I'm like, oh, look at him. He's typing with me. Audie showed me.
All right. I'll probably be by. Well, I want to try and get down there somewhat early tomorrow. Mostly to go up to try and get to the store before they close.
Well, keep me posted because I don't know when I'll be home. I'm gonna be at my mom's, and then I don't feel like zigzagging, so I might actually just go straight to player 1 from there. You know?
Wait, what time? What time was he trying to be there again?
Look at the group chat.
8
I
or
want to say
9?
8. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
I guess I could zigzag. Let me check. I should have gas money. I should be fine. But I'll keep you posted. You let me know when you're trying to be in town.
No, the place I have to go to fucking like the military surplus and try and pick something up from there. And they close at like 5 or 6 on the weekends.
Okay. You want to handle that, and then we'll hang out or something, and then we'll meet you at
I'm
player
trying to
1.
get down there like somewhat early, like 3 or 4, and then I could just hit the skate park for a little while.
Feel it.
Then meet up with you guys.
All right. Well, I'm gonna raid Muffin. She's the best.
Where's
Oh, she's not live right now. Lovely Montana.
Yeah.
She's not live.
Damn.
I know. I love her. She's great.
Her voice is so soothing.
It really is. That's what it is, right? It's like I feel like she can talk about anything, and she'd be like, talk about this vile shit, and she'd be like, "Oh, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?"
She's like dropping all these like dick jokes and shit, but it's like in the most soothing, like proper British voice. It's like, oh.
Nah, she's fun to hang out on her streams. She's so nice. But everybody who's here, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for, I think I got a couple raids. One of you were one of them, Lemon, so thank you. Deadwolf is still here. No, Deadwolf left, but Deadwolf was the other raid, I want to say. So everybody, we're going to move you over to Muffin 45. She's playing Last of Us Part 1 or Part 2? Part 2. Wait, is that what it says? No, Part 2 remastered. Oh, shit! It's a good game. Anybody who's mad, eat a dick. It's fine.
Look up
some Ada porn.
Some Ada porn, yeah.
Nice.
Some Ada 34.
Oh yeah, brother.
Send myself off. Salute you.
All right. Well, peace out, bro. Everybody, moi. You guys have a good night. I'll be doing stuff tomorrow. I'll probably stream Monday. Actually, I should be back Monday. Trying. But yeah, raiding out to Muffin.
So go the DM that Lena sent me. It's like a gift.